And so oftentimes I'll be saying things that are actually correct, and then they just get completely pushed to the side by family or friends. Or they'll be like, or I could tell somebody something and there's just no response, like they're not listening at all. And like I said, it just makes you feel like you're invisible, and just makes you feel not happy, not a good feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah. But like, I would imagine that being a mute would also make someone feel invisible. Though I don't know. Obviously, I don't know all mutes. I haven't spoken to many
You would
mutes.
think.
But like, yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.
When your goal is to be invisible, then you appreciate the moments that you aren't more. And that, I didn't know that would happen. That just kind of came with it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sweet Talking Podcast with yours truly, Neph. It's great to see you here. Those of you who are catching this live, you are the lucky ones. And those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you all are very lucky, because I have the utter pleasure to have a chance to talk with none other than ChelZChan. She is pretty awesome. In the short time that I've known her, she has been very, very cool. Very, very cool. And I'm looking forward to having a fantastic conversation. So, I think we can go ahead and get started. So, ChelZ, we have a special voice reveal. This is the first time ChelZ will be speaking. So, this is going to be a treat for you and for me, by the way. So, how about we start off with the basics? What pronouns do you go by, ChelZ?
Really, anything. Not very picky.
Okay. So, they, she,
Sure.
he, doesn't matter?
Nope.
All right.
I'm pretty easy, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so, So, I think we should start off tonight just giving people a little bit of an idea of who you are, what you've been doing, or like what you enjoy doing, your likes, your dislikes. Just a very basic picture. Can we paint a picture of like who is ChelZChan, and what do you do? How do you basically, like, I guess what do you enjoy doing, and who are you? Like, let's say you're like in a school and you're like having a conversation, like you're like the new kid in school, and you're like, hey, my name is ChelZ. I like these sorts of things.
I was never good at that. Oh man.
I just have fun with it. It's nothing formal. Just have fun with it.
I don't know. I like to play video games. I love music. I think most people do. I think anybody who tells you that they don't like music or they don't listen to music is either a liar or they're deaf.
True.
But I have loved it always, my entire life. All my music being handed down to me from my older brother, basically through iPods and stuff that were handed down to me. So I kind of absorbed his music taste and kind of grew from there. But that's why I do music visuals on my stream and stuff like that, is to kind of share that with people. And I find it really therapeutic to create kind of a visual representation of what emotions a song can bring.
Mm-hmm. Which I very much like.
That's pretty much me.
Hey,
like the snowboard too, but I don't get to do that much.
Oh, okay. All right. I probably should have tested this beforehand, but I can definitely hear my voice echoing through your mic. So if you could like slightly turn.
Yeah, I got the threshold up now.
Okay.
I'll do that. All right, should be.
Okay, I'm a professional podcaster, but I didn't catch that. So, but like I didn't hear your voice until we went live, so there was no way that I could have caught that. so
No.
like, yeah.
No.
All right, cool. So like, like just like what do you enjoy? Like you really enjoy music, and definitely we're going to talk about music 100%. I'm a big fan of music, as you should know by now. And like I really I love what you do, the visualizations, but like I really kind of want to focus on just you as a person. Just so like what have you like, I guess what got you into doing VRChat? Like where like how did everything get started for you in terms of VRChat?
Oh man, this is I'm about to expose myself. I came in with the knuckles.
The Knuckles
and
Echidna? Like the like
yeah, way back in the day.
D-Way?
Exactly, the horrifying little red monstrosities. That was me. Yep, desktop me. And I had a lot of fun just doing that, and eventually I was like, okay, well, I want to be a Knuckles with arms, so I got myself a Rift, and then things quickly transpired from there, where I was making Stormtrooper avatars, and I'm about to expose my alt account. I know some people were wondering, but Mr. Personalities was actually my original account on VRChat.
Oh.
And I just made a bunch of Stormtrooper avatars back then. That was before the 3.0 avatar update.
Mm-hmm.
And after that update, I didn't know how to do anything in Unity, but yeah, I came in with that wave and just kind of upgraded headsets as I went along. And at some point in the Void Club, I donned a female avatar, and then things kind of just snowballed from there. Here I am.
Oh, okay. And you've basically been, so like you were making avatars, and then you got into, I guess, like you donned the female avatar. I'm assuming, obviously it wasn't this current one. I'm assuming this one is very heavily edited, overall, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
the original one was by the same maker, but yeah.
Okay. And so I'm kind of wondering where to go from here. There are so many ways that we can go, but I don't want to leave anything unturned. So you got into VRChat around what year? At what time? At what year did you get into VRChat?
Oh yeah. Oh god. 2016, 2017, on that area.
Okay, so you're one of the early ones, one of the early people. Would you say? Sounds like it. Cause like I'm super new to VRChat, so I'm just wondering.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I only got into VRChat.
Old frog for sure.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I only got into VRChat around May of last year. So I'm super new. But you know, I
still getting your sea legs.
I mean, I think I've done pretty well. Like, I think I'm running a podcast now. Like, I think I'm doing okay for myself. But yeah, I'm definitely super new. Like, right on the heels of Fizzbones, and everything like that. So yeah, but yeah, it's always nice to come in contact with people who have been here for a long time, who've been doing this sort of thing for a long time. I've seen VRChat evolve over time. Like, I find that very, very fascinating. So let's see. Again, there's so many ways I can take the conversation. So, okay, let's start. Okay, so you made a female avatar, or you got a female avatar. What made you want to change into a female avatar after doing all the edits with Stormtroopers and things like that? What caused that to change?
So in the Void Club, I mean, I'd always been, how do I put this? I'd always just, like I said earlier, had an affinity for music, and I just always just resonates with me, no pun intended. And I would go and hang out in the Void Club, and I would dance on that alternate account, and I would dance as a Stormtrooper, but you just don't get taken seriously. Step on you, they ignore you, they step in front of you and play their own music. And then I tested a theory, and I asked myself, is it because the avatar is too goofy, or is it because it's like something else? And so I tested that theory, switched into a different male avatar, and still was running into that issue where people would just step in front of you, and it's kind of understandable. From what I've observed through 5 or so years within VRChat, there's a bit of how do I phrase this? There's a bit of an issue with the culture where there are a lot of gents that will come onto this game, and with big bulky avatars, they block up mirror space, they get in the way, they cause issues, and that the percentage of that I've seen that's been male doing that to female has been exponentially higher. And so I understand why some people would come in and ignore like kind of male avatars in that way, because they expect that, or they expect that this person isn't going to respect them. Although that's not something to expect off of an avatar or whatever. But anywho, I decided to test that and switched into female avatar, and noticed that almost immediately the reception was completely different. I wasn't getting stepped on, I wasn't getting made fun of, I was just free to kind of do my thing, and I didn't talk either, because I guess that's part of it. But I was just kind of free to do my thing with my friends at the time. Scuddy, Kitty before she streamed, and Kookster, if anybody knows them, a couple others. But I was just kind of free to do my thing and enjoy myself there, and that was really, really liberating. To be kind of free of judgment and free to just be me, whoever that is at the time, you know?
Yeah. I can definitely understand that kind of approach to the whole thing. Like when you interact in a certain way with people, and then you change something, and then you see a difference. Like that kind of aspect of human psychology is it's very interesting to me. That like people literally treat men and women differently. There's a very distinct difference,
and a lot of it's subconscious too.
Yeah. It's just embedded into us,
and people don't even know they're doing it.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about, really. So you realized that, and you just kind of ran with it. Did you run with it because of like the ease of being able to just do your thing, or was it because you liked being able to be respected and just kind of, you know, left alone, kind of? Like, was it like acknowledging the psychology and like the how fickle people can be, or was it simply just you like, I get to do my thing without being bothered or made fun of?
It was a little A, a little B. And once I got to that point, it was kind of just after that I just got more comfortable like this and got comfortable being a mute. And it's a bit easier because like people seem to think there's a lot of drag in being a mute, and it's honestly not as draggy as you would think. Like, you can gesture most things to people and they're gonna understand you. Like, I don't use any ASL when I like am gesturing things out, but most people are able to put 2 and 2 together based off of what's going on around us and the things that I'm gesturing, like my point in my ears and telling somebody I can't hear them, stuff like that, all before they introduce the chat box and all that. But yeah, those were probably the two factors that got me in the avatar. And then over time, I just got more comfortable with it. And there's a lot of like pushback from people I know who are like friends and family who are like, "Why do you do this? It's so weird." But you know, it doesn't matter. I'm not hurting anybody, and I'm enjoying myself. So
yeah. That's true. Like, you should be able, like, that is the beauty of VRChat. I think that's why it's so attractive to many people, like of all shapes and ages. You get to don an identity, and it's really up to you of how you want to present, whether you speak or don't speak. Being able to have the freedom to just chill and just like exist in a way that is comfortable for you is what I think is like one of the key reasons why VRChat does so well.
And I think another mistake people make when they come on this game is a lot of times they try overly hard to be themselves, versus taking an opportunity to be somebody completely different. even for just a little bit, be somebody completely different and see what life is like.
Yeah.
It's an amazing opportunity to do just that, and I feel like that doesn't get utilized a whole. Well, it does get utilized a lot, but not by some people, unfortunately, who would probably benefit from it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the reason for that is I think a lot of people who use VRChat don't really have confidence in themselves. Like they suffer from like they don't have enough like self-love of themselves. So because they don't really know how to love themselves, it seems kind of weird and off-putting to try to be something else that they're not because they don't even know how to be who they are.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I would think about that, but I just think it's harder for people who aren't really comfortable in their own skin to just kind of be something else. But maybe I could be wrong about this. There could be two sides to this, but maybe people who are actually comfortable with themselves, or whether they're not comfortable or are comfortable, they may actually find
they don't feel a need.
Yeah,
to be something else, maybe.
Yeah, they'll find they'll find an avatar that just fits them, and they'll just kind of like they'll establish an identity just simply on the basis of them having that look and feel. When they look in the mirror, they're like, that's what they see, and they can just fall into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess there's like two sides to it, I guess you can say. But yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot. Yeah. Yeah. But it's cool that like you found that, you know, being in a female avatar and just being able to just do what you do and enjoy what you enjoy and just getting comfortable with that was okay for you, and that you do so even despite people not thinking it's weird or whatever. But you know, VR chat's kind of fucking weird. What we do is kind of weird,
to say the very least.
Yeah. Yeah. But
it's definitely not quite normal.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think there are so many people who instead of saying so many people, we'll just say, well, let me talk about myself. And I don't like talking about myself when I have a guest because I don't want to make it about me. but I've said this before, you know, I have a massive ego, and I'm always trying to keep that in check, you know? So
all right, I'll stroke it.
No. But and when it comes to me, like, I really want, like, I know that I'm weird. The fact that I enjoy VRChat so much, like, you have to be kind of weird. I have to be kind of weird to really, like, enjoy being in a space that is just completely different and just kind of engaging in that sort of content, that sort of, like, to wear an avatar and just feel connected to it and just being in a space where you can meet so many different people. It seems weird. I think to many people on the outside, it seems weird. So, like, I'll judge the people on the outside who don't use VRChat. But, like, once you're in it and you've spent time in it, I feel like there's so much to explore. It's like real life. But at a faster pace. Like, the rate at which you can meet people in VR is so much faster and at a so much greater volume than you could in real life. And it's so much easier to do. So it's like people find their life in VR chat despite, like, everything else going on in their life. Like, they can come into VR chat and have a different life and feel as though that they can, like, they can have their friends, they can sleep, they can drink, they can do all of the things they would normally do, but in the presence of people that actually appreciate them. But I just feel like I want to know what you think about all of this. Like, do you think that, like, not living in VR chat, but the idea of the idea.
Just expose yourself.
No, I said I'm new. I said I'm new.
Freudian slip.
Maybe it could be, but you know. But, like, do you think that people, like, find themselves, like, they find comfort in being able to live the second life in a way that's like that allows them to be free, just to have a different life here and just chill and be at ease?
Of course. And I mean, I definitely use it that way, and I do use it that way. But especially, like, when I've worked a litany of jobs so far in my life, and just about everything, like fast food industry, restaurant industry. I've worked warehouse. I've worked in like a micro center, for instance, pest control, stuff like that. And I'd always come home at the end of the day, like from pest control, for instance, we would work 14-hour days, 3 days a week. So I'd come down from that place. I'd come back home and come into my room, and I would just put my headset on and veg out for a whole day. And then the next day I would party for a little bit. And then veg out some more, and it was just an escape because it was perfect for me, because I've never really had much fun, nor have I had many friends. So I don't really go out to eat or go out on the town to have drinks and all that, and it's so expensive to do that. But
Yeah.
if you invest in a headset the way that I did, where I bought myself a Rift and then just gradually I would sell one headset and buy the next, I was able to work myself into an index eventually. But it was just really, really nice to be able to come home and put that headset on and just be in a different place without having to spend boatloads of money for an expensive vacation or something like that. I could experience pretty much anything I wanted to in here for free every time I put the headset on. So
Yeah.
definitely got my money's worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think definitely to answer your question, I think that yes, it's very good for people to have that kind of freedom, for sure. And yeah, we're the living proof of that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. You and me. So I'm just as guilty of that, though I'm much newer. I'm just as guilty of that as you and many other people who are in the chat right now. So, or maybe watching this. So yeah, absolutely. So, I guess let's go even further back. How did you hear about VRChat, and why? I guess when were you convinced that VRChat was a way for you to, I guess, get away from what's going on in real life? Like, were you using VRChat as an escape? And I guess at what point did you feel as though VRChat or just VR in general is like the way to go to like kind of get the freedom that you wouldn't have otherwise? Because you said you didn't have many friends either. So like, I guess what was the trigger that was like, yeah, this is the thing that I need to do. This is where I should invest my time and money, kind of thing.
So I initially got introduced to VRChat through a group of friends that I don't really talk too much anymore. They're not the greatest people to surround yourself with. I'm sure you know the type.
Yeah.
But they're just, it was just a friend group that had developed for me over time that was just a modge podge of people that I worked with, and their humor was just, looking back, unsavory and unfortunate. And it's not unlike the people that come in and crash lobbies and cause problems for people here.
Yeah.
And that's initially what I kind of came here to do. And then eventually over time, I kind of realized this is not a good life to lead, and these people are just trying to enjoy themselves. And over time, that kind of, just kind of changed who I was. And I decided these aren't good people to hang out with anymore, and I need new friends. I made some friends here and changed my wicked ways.
So
there was a second part to that question though, and I forgot it. Pretty sure.
Oh, right, the headset. Like you said you've gone from headset to headset to headset. So like, I guess when were you when were you convinced that like the time and effort was worth it for VR? What was like that trigger?
So when I initially bought my Rift, I was in an especially bad financial bind. I had just gotten caught up, and I've talked about this on my stream plenty of times, and plenty of people know about this, but I ended up getting caught up with the law. Johnny Law does not like people who sell marijuana. So I got caught up with that and then caught myself some charges, which I should have expunged hopefully around the end of the year this year. But it makes it exceptionally difficult to find work, and it just makes life really, really hard. And especially when you're on probation. And so when I first got my Rift, I was on probation. I didn't have really anything I could do. I couldn't leave the house much. Like, I could, but what's the point when all your friends drink and go out to bars? And you got to be the one person at the bar ordering water, and it
Yeah.
feels uncomfortable.
Yep,
If
I
you're
feel
not
that.
a drinker, it's one thing, but if you enjoy drinking and then have to be forced to not do it and then be around a bunch of people who do, it's really uncomfortable. And so with that, I decided that I would just get a headset and kind of come here to enjoy myself. And I know that's a little bit ironic because there's so many people who come onto this game and drink, but to me it's a lot different when there's somebody like with a beer in the room with me, whereas like if I'm in VR and I just have water in the house, it's like, oh, you're having a drink of beer, I'll just have a sip of water with, like, they can't hand me the beer through the screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they don't know either way. But it was just like a really, well, I mean, we've said this so many times now, but it was just a really good escape, and it was a really great escape for me at that time. I really needed an opportunity and a platform to kind of break out of where I was and talk to, because talking to people when playing DayZ is not the same, and I needed a sense of community and engagement.
Yeah. I think many people need that, and like just kind of speaking from personal experience, I'm not very good at community things. I've never just really been good at it. I've always been very like solo. I've always been very, very solo in most things. So like the idea of being a part of a community is something I've always wanted, but I always end up struggling. Like I'll get involved in the community. Like the longest I've been involved with the community is like a couple of years, but that was also when I was younger. I had more time. But like nowadays, like it's so hard to kind of find a group of people that you can really kind of relate to and vibe with, let alone forming your own community. And I want to talk a little bit about that later on. But like that has been so hard for me, and I feel like a lot of people need that. And I think VRChat offers a lot of like opportunities for people to find people that they can relate to, people that have the same interests and that they feel comfortable around. And it's often very easy to recognize that in people. I have a pretty good sense of people. So like I feel like even though I suck at community, I'm very good at picking out people that I think are extremely interesting. You are one of those people.
Nah, that's cap.
No. I've told you that many times. I've told you that you like the moment I met you, I knew there was something about you that was very, very special and unique.
This is backfired. I was trying to stroke your ego. This is not working.
It never works. I'm so good at deflecting my ego back onto someone else's ego, because you know, we all need that stroking, and it's like mutual stroke.
Say it like that. Really out here about to say mutual stroke.
Stroking. But yeah.
You're not still getting feedback, are you, by the way?
Oh no, it's been good. I would have said something by now. Yeah, all good,
Okay.
good. Yeah. So now that we've kind of found out like a little bit about like how we got started with everything, like what kind of led into getting into VRChat, let's talk a little bit about why you decided to become a mute. So, I mean, aside from the fact that you're wearing a female avatar, what was your motivation to be a mute in the first place? And I guess how did that evolve at all over time? Like, was that something that you like? Was it one reason and then it became another reason, or was it something that just changed over time for you as time went on?
I mean, it has pretty much always been for that one reason at the start, was just kind of like, well, I guess maybe not so much. It started with that of not wanting to be stepped on, and people just look at you different, and they, I guess this kind of sounds fucked up, but they pay attention. I feel like as a mute, I didn't get overlooked as much as I do when I would speak. And that's something I suffer with in real life as well, like really bad, is that when I'm around family or friends, I feel like I'm not heard. And
Really?
It really does, because it makes you feel like you don't exist, and if you don't exist, then you go to some real dark places in your head. But just kind of eventually, it had been something that I just started a streak that was going so long that it felt wrong to just end. And I had more in my head here. This is why I don't talk.
No, you're fine. You're doing great.
I think
Take your time.
I think that's what I was gonna say, is that people actually kind of listen. And that goes hand in hand with the paying attention thing, but it gives me an opportunity to slow myself down, which is something that I've had in my about section for a while, is that a lot of the time my head just goes burr, and I start to say funny things, and some of it's a little bit crass, and granted that's more acceptable around these parts than it would be in real life, but having the ability to say something into my TTS and then think about it a second later and be like, that's probably not a funny thing to say right now, and I can just flick my mute button and then not say it. Having that extra bit of delay saves a lot of people a lot of grief, and saves me from a lot of embarrassment. But it also really helps with people actually listening and hearing the things that they need to hear, because for whatever reason, when the conversation is slowed down, and I've had a lot of deep conversations with a lot of different community members in different communities, but when a conversation is being had between two people in one world, just like we're having right now, and you slow everything down, even still, a lot of the time when you're talking to another person, what you're saying to them goes kind of over their head, and you might tell them that people care about them and they're valued, and there's this thing that's there for them and this other thing that's there for them. And I'm guilty of this 100%, that'll go over my head too. But when you're forced to slow down and wait for the person and their response, and they're miming out their words to you before you actually hear them, and you're anticipating hearing them, you're already dialed in to pay attention to what they're about to say, rather than them just coming up with what feels like the immediate knee-jerk response to whatever they just told you.
So it
feels a lot more personal.
Right.
So if somebody said they were depressed, and I was like, oh, you've got nothing to feel depressed for, and there's this reason, telling them that right off the bat, right straight from the rip from them saying that, they're more likely to just pass it off and say, oh, well, anybody would tell me that. But if it's just slowed down even just a little bit with that TTS, it hits a lot harder. I don't know. I have no explanation for why that is. It's just kind of what I've been picking up.
Okay. I mean, like, you would know way better than me. So, like, you're the expert in this situation. So, like, so based on your observations, like, did being a mute become a thing that was just better for you to slow yourself down, or for so people to understand you, or were you a mute in order to have, I guess, to know that you were being heard? So was it for you or for other people, is what I'm saying. Like,
it was initially for me, and then it became for other people. I had no idea that it would have that effect for other people, and then once I realized that, then I kind of utilized it when I could.
Okay. Did you enjoy being a mute?
Yeah, I did. And I might still somewhat be a mute on some occasions, at least when I play music. I'm not going to be talking over it, but I think that phase has passed, and if I do wish to do that again, I'll create another alternate account, and I'll go to that when I want to disappear for a little bit. So that's a very valid possibility of something that could happen, but right now it's only thoughts.
Okay. Well, I can definitely say that you've made an impact on a lot of people just by you being you and the music that you enjoy and the things that you create. And I think like when you told me that you like to slow things down and that like how should I put this? Like the last time we talked one-on-one, which was like the first time we talked one, this is like the second time we've talked one-on-one. Man, I'm so glad that I could have a chance to talk to you like this, because like it's like getting you one-on-one was so fucking hard, so like nearly impossible to do. And like I want to talk a little bit about like just like kind of the yin and the yang thing that I feel like you and I have going on, but like you may not know it, but I think that we do. But you can tell me if you feel the same way later on. But what I'm thinking, when you told me that like you were,
I'm listening. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah. Like when you told me that you were mute to like slow things down, and that like you were worried about how you would be interpreted by other people, like. I'm just like I wonder, like I really wondered like how you would speak and how you would like you know, when we had a chance to do this, I was really curious to know like how, like to what extent that would be true. And in my opinion, I feel like you talk very clearly, and the fact that you like that people in your family have often like not giving you the attention that you deserve, that to me seems weird. Because you seem very able to, like, handle your thoughts and present your thoughts very clearly. And yeah, like, of course, I think everyone's brain kind of goes burr when they're nervous, when there's something, like, they want to say something. I think everyone's brain does that. My brain does that, like, even when I'm doing this. But, like, so I get it. But, like, I think that's pretty normal. Like, and like I personally don't see anything wrong with telling people, like obviously, you know, some people you have to like, you know, kind of like word it a certain way and you know, tiptoe around things. But some people like me, like you could just tell me something straightforward. And I think if someone is mature and capable of processing that, like you're not just saying it to be blunt, you're not saying it to be mean, you're saying it because it's what came to mind, and it's the truth that you've quickly understood. Like, if you're telling someone, like, oh, you're a great person, you have nothing to worry about, like, honestly, like, you got this together, you're great, and you're telling someone that, and they don't get that, or they feel some kind of way about it, like, that's not your fault. That's theirs, in my opinion. But, like, I want to know, like, how you think of that, and how, I guess, you said, like, you talk about things in real life. People, like, may think a certain way about, like, way that you talk in real life. Can you give me, like, an example of, like, when someone has just, like, completely just, like, missed what you've said or misinterpreted it as something that was mean, and that kind of, like, reinforced your idea of, like, I probably shouldn't talk as freely as I do?
Well, I think the best example of that would be on here is that somebody might say something, and this is an example, this isn't something that actually happened, but somebody could say something like, oh, my so-and-so family member just got sick and they're possibly going to pass away. I might make some kind of really distasteful joke just because it pops into my head. And I do a lot better with that now. I've learned through being mute to kind of just keep my mouth shut until I've got something to say and like read the room.
Yeah, which many people don't know how to do. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I do a lot better with big like events around a lot of more people. You'll find later tonight, if anybody's going to Red Set, you'll find if you go there as well that I'm a lot more like, when there's a lot more people in the room, I bounce around a lot. I did that as a mute. I do that as a non-mute. I'll be bouncing around talking with a whole bunch of people, and I understand that that's the kind of room where people just kind of jump into a conversation randomly, and you might get your toes stepped on a little bit, and it's not like a big deal or anything. And I mean, it's never really a big deal, but it's more of the environment where you can expect to be kind of interrupted a little bit. But for instance, like in real life, if I'm talking to somebody about something or politics wise or really anything wise, anybody in my family for the most part, I get interrupted. It's just assumed that I don't know anything on the topic, and a fair amount of the time is not incorrect, but a fair amount of the time there is stuff that I have to say that I feel is valuable. And at the very least, I mean, if I present something, some piece of information, I say, did you know that the earliest motorcycle and this is bullshit, the earliest motorcycle was not actually 2 wheels, it was actually a motorcycle with a sidecar because they didn't know how to balance it on 2 wheels yet. Like, if I display that or say something that might be incorrect, I just immediately get interrupted and derailed. I don't even get a chance to say the thing that was wrong and then be corrected on it. It just doesn't even leave my mouth. And so oftentimes I'll be saying things that are actually correct, and then they just get completely pushed to the side by family or friends. Or they'll be like, or I could tell somebody something and there's just no response, like they're not listening at all. And like I said, it just makes you feel like you're invisible, and just makes you feel not happy, not a good feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah. But like, I would imagine that being a mute would also make someone feel invisible. Though I don't know. Obviously, I don't know all mutes. I haven't spoken to many mutes.
Think.
But like, yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.
When your goal is to be invisible, then you appreciate the moments that you aren't more. And
okay.
that, I didn't know that would happen. That just kind of came with it.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. So yeah, it seems like
I just went on that.
No. This is about you. Shh. No. This is about you. This whole thing is about you. So I want it to be about you. You're welcome. You're welcome to say whatever you want to say. I don't feel, and I'm not insulted. It's okay. You're good. I promise.
Sometimes I feel like Wilt from what was that TV show? Something Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I feel like Wilt. Sorry. Always apologizing. You ever watch that show?
I've never watched that show. I haven't heard of it, but like I get what you mean. Like you're always kind of apologizing from potentially stepping on someone's toes. You're apologizing in advance for potentially stepping on someone's toes. Like yeah. I'm like the last person that like you would need to apologize to, because like I already have a good feeling. I've always had a good feeling about you. Like you do mean well. Like you are a good person. Like and you may think differently. Like we all have our flaws. We have reasons to think that we're not good people.
The cap. I was about to call it.
Yeah, I know. But like I've said many times that I am not a good person, and I will say that to the day I die, that I'm not a good person, because I know the shit that I think about. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the people that I care about, hell yeah, they matter to me, and I will show my good qualities when it comes to looking after those people that are important to me. And I know that you will do the same. So this kind of ties into what I was going to mention earlier about the whole like potential yin and yang thing. Like you said that you thrive in groups of people, and like you feel as though like that's like your comfort. Like if you're surrounded by a lot of people, you can kind of bounce around, things will happen, things will be said, and it's just chill. It's just usually chill. And, no harm, no foul. It's nothing. Like, you don't have to worry about actually being hurt in those situations. Me, on the other hand, I love these. I love the one-on-ones so fucking much. But, like, you can do the one-on-ones, but you prefer to being around a lot of people. I prefer the one-on-ones, but I can deal with being around a lot of people. And that's why I said we have, like, the yin and yang thing. It's like, you're like the opposite of me.
I see.
Yeah. which I found very interesting. Like I was looking for opportunities to like to catch you alone. Okay, let me stop. But like I was looking for opportunities to like chat with you, but it was like impossible because you were always surrounded by people. And I'm like, there's a reason for that. And like I wanted to know the reason. So tell me the reason why you thrive around a lot of people. If there is one.
Tell me the reason now.
Yeah, tell me.
I didn't.
I caught you, and now you have to spill
I have no
it.
clue. I have no clue, man. It's just, I don't know. It's easier for me. Like, I just do. Like, I just do. I just run around. I'd be crazy. I'm a bit of a hellion, so I just raise hell. And yeah, it's fun. I mean, you've seen at Red Sets when I gather as many people as I can to get kitty avatars on, and then just like go red our kitties. I think that's hilarious because, of course, the innuendo, but also a bunch of cats on the DJ decks. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's more fun for me, and I feel like other people have a lot of fun around, at least the people that I know. I feel like all of us really kind of enjoy just being around each other and goofing around, and a lot of people get into, like, I used to get into a lot of serious conversations when I was at work with people, because you're sitting in an office all day for, I don't know, 8-9 hours. So
Yeah.
you spend 8 or 9 hours talking to the 1 or 2 coworkers that you've got, and you're talking about your lives, and you're talking about family stuff, and maybe you see a therapist too, so you get that one-on-one conversation in, and get to talk about what's going on in your life with them. But I feel like a lot of people come on here, as we mentioned earlier, for an escape, and so when you do that, I mean, there's some instances, yeah, that coming on here for like one-on-ones is good and fun, and even like 2 or 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, whatever. But I really thrive the larger a group is. It's just, I don't know, it's more fun, like, for everybody involved. I have no idea why it is exactly, other than that. The best answer I could give you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Like, it just means that you're just naturally more extroverted, which is why, like, I was surprised when you said that, like, oh, people don't listen to you. Like, many people, like, I found that people who are generally extroverted generally get a lot of attention. They have people listen to them. Like, when they speak, they usually listen. But I also know that extroverted people tend to say a lot of things. More introverted people like myself, like, I don't generally speak unless I have something valuable to say. Like, I'm consciously, like, aware of that. And again, you know, we have that, like, you're the more extroverted version of me in a lot of ways. And
Well, I'm also a version of you that almost never has anything valuable to say, so
no. You've said so many encouraging things. Like, I've been to your streams. Like, you've said a lot of encouraging things to people, to your community. You've I've again, I'm not very community oriented, but obviously I am a part of the Undergarden. I've seen the things that you've said to encourage people who are down. Like, I see all these things. Like, I pay very, very close attention. So, like, but, you know, I'm an introvert. I observe, I gather information, and then I use that to my advantage or disadvantage. What I know, it's
to blackmail later.
Yeah. I mean, that's not always the reason, but, you know, you never know. But in all seriousness, you know, like, I pay attention. I'm always trying to learn more about people, and you know, you were just one of those people that I was very, very curious to learn about. So I'm doing that now, and I'm very, very excited to finally do that. And I'm glad that you, like, that you were cool with, like, doing this, because we're not done. We are not done. Let me tell you that there's so much more that I want to learn about you now that I have you here on stream. What did you think I was gonna say? You thought I was gonna say something else. I was not. No. So, streaming. How did you get into streaming? Let's just start from the beginning.
Well, it was about Christmas time of last year. I was in the Void Club. Kitty was there. Some other people, Neppy and think Scuddy, or basically the regulars, we would just go there, and then that was our place before Midnight Rooftop became bigger. Void was the place to be, and we're there and just listening to music and enjoying ourselves. And Kitty had been streaming already for about a year, and Neppy sparked up a conversation with me in DMs and said, "Hey, you should look into streaming. I think that would be really fun for you to, just get into it, their music, because you come to the Void Club all the time and do that here. So why not bring that to other people who don't have access to VR, or maybe don't know exactly what VRChat is?" And that's what I did. In the outro song that I always play,
which I love, by the way.
I actually would do. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love Watsky. But I would always play that after, like, I would finish up in the Void Club. I would always play that song before I left. And I don't really do that in VR anymore, but I carry that on in the stream, at least as much as I possibly can. And anywho, Neppy suggested that I stream, and I was like, okay, well, if I stream, then you should stream too. And they decided to also stream, and then we started up this joint Discord and joint community and everything. Yeah, we kind of went from there. But it was their suggestion initially, and then there was enough support there that people that they would watch and that they wanted to be there, that I was like, all right, run with it. There it goes. And I guess there is a little bit more to that. I didn't and I don't love a lot of the VRChat streams that I see these days. And they're not much different than when I first started streaming. And I won't go into too much detail on this, but I just feel that Twitch is a platform for certain activities like games and building communities and making friends and doing fun stuff and creating content that is engaging and fun that you want to make, that people want to watch.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate that this genre, along with quite a few others, often gets abused, and viewers get abused through that. And a lot of the time they don't know what's going on. And I was kind of disgusted by what I was seeing and wanted to be one of the people who is actually trying. Like, there's a litany of other websites people can go to do some of the things that they're doing here on Twitch, that are skirting TOS.
Yeah.
And there's a litany of other websites they could go to, and they choose to do it here because they, I guess, are brining for this audience, and I don't know. It's just unfortunate that kind of stuff is more popular a lot of the times than people who actually put effort in and put work in and create streams like what you do, where you're interviewing people and finding interesting people and asking them questions and doing things like that. A lot of that gets overlooked because people want the shine and they want the flash, and it's like, give me that instant gratification here and now. And yeah, a lot of really solid streamers never get to chase down their dream and chase their passion because they just never get the support, because somebody would rather watch somebody bounce up and down with their tits out or whatever. It's just really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is, and I can't do much to change it other than keep trying my hardest to create stuff that actually has some level of substance.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that really drew me. Like, obviously, like, you as a person, I was interested in, but when I saw your streams, I'm like, this is actual content that is very, very, like, detailed, very, very unique, and very creative. And like, you don't see that kind of stuff. Yeah, you don't see that kind of content on VRChat. And like, it's not even just VRChat. Like, let's be real. It's not just VRChat. It's like, you have hot tub streams, you have the just chatting streams, which are just, there's so much like mindless garbage that's being like put through that whole machine.
And why would Twitch even care? Because at the end of the day, if you're an affiliate, they're taking half of your sub, whatever gift subs that you get or whatever subscriptions
take
that you
50%.
get, they take half of that. So why would they care? They're making their cut, and as long as you aren't like blatantly showing like nudity on stream, then and you're doing like at least some level of hiding it, then they're not going to really do anything. And if it's like really close to being nudity, they might slap you with like a 2-day ban or something, and then you're right back at it again, and you just change the outfit just a little bit, and then you're good again.
Yeah, and like the funny thing is, like I'm relatively new to like, you know, streaming on Twitch, like here, like on like as Neferty. I'm new for that, and like it's very much like people like who get banned, they're like, oh, I get a vacation. And then they come back, and it's just like, it's like more of the same with like a slight change. But like people who get banned, like they get known, they get more popular for getting banned, and then they come back.
Oh yeah.
And then there's like drama all around
exactly.
that, and then they fish for the drama. It's an endless cycle of just people who are just mentally degenerate. And I guess you can say like people who stream, like I'd say people who stream are pretty weird, and that includes me, because you have to have a certain mindset when you go into streaming. But also, it also depends on the content that you're creating as well. Because like, I don't think we're like, how to describe, like, we're performers. Like we're entertainers. We entertain people. We try our best to like reach out to people and like build actual community. Like you're interested in building community. I'm interested in building community, but it's very rare to find people who are actually interested in that, and it's hard to really do that when you're trying to create something that's legitimate and doesn't involve, like, again, like I said, showing your tits or like whatever. Like it's so hard to like break out when you have so much of that garbage flowing in
working against you.
Yeah, yeah. But
absolutely.
But you're out here doing really fucking creative stuff. You've only been streaming since the start of 2022. So you're by most standards relatively new. You've been doing it longer than I have, but you're relatively new. And you're out here like you're like above, you're like in the 1%. Like in terms of like how your channel has grown.
I don't know about
No. I'm actually quoting numbers here. I've looked you up, and these are actual numbers. You are in like the 1% of like streamers who have like truly have built something like meaningful and that people enjoy and people are engaging with, without being like blatantly like, what's the word? I was gonna say sexual.
You're gonna make me fog my headset now.
Well, I do that. Get used to that when you hang around me. Get used to that. I have that effect on people, but you know. That's just how I am. But truly, like you've managed in like a year's time, you have built a great community, and people genuinely like what you do. People support you. People like come to your streams religiously, and it's so cool to see what you've done thus far. But I would really like to, go ahead.
Well, it's not just been me. I think that's one really important thing I just want to mention is that none of this, any of what my stream is, would even be near possible if it weren't for all these people that have helped me along the way. I've had so many people help me with creating avatar assets because I'm terrible with Unity. I know nothing about Unity or Blender anymore, so I can't do like any of that kind of stuff. So there are people like Amon the Wolf that helps me with a lot of Unity stuff, and Neppy helps me with a lot of Unity stuff. Neppy also like co-creating the community and also streaming alongside. Although they haven't been able to, they're going to be starting up again here soon, and they've helped me get an incredible distance at the start there, and they've just, due to their own personal circumstances, haven't been able to stream, which has been really unfortunate. But I'm looking forward to watching them thrive this year. But you know, like I am tiny brained when it comes to dealing with like almost anything in Discord, with integrations, bots and roles and how they function, and they know all that stuff, and they were able to get the Discord into like a really happy good looking place, and we actually worked on it, revamped everything the other day, and we still have some more work to do, but which the work never stops, and I hope it stays that way. But I would be nothing if not for the people that I know who have helped me. I would be nothing. I wouldn't know how to do any of the music visual stuff if it weren't for getting a few minutes to sit down, a couple hours actually, to sit down with SokkzVR, who knows a lot of that kind of stuff and was able to like really help me wrap my mind around that, and Redacted and Turquoise even initially showing me how to use that program. And so I started like creating all these crazy backgrounds and stuff, and these landscapes that would serve as music visualization. But it wasn't until I spoke with Sokkz that I was able to actually suss out how she does her stuff, and how she's able to trigger things and make things happen, and make the magic that is her stream actually come to be. So like I said, I'd be nothing, I'd be nowhere if it weren't for the people that I know, and I owe them a great deal, and I hope that someday I can give that back to them if I haven't already.
Yeah, and like most people, like I think it's important to remember the people who got you to where you are, and I don't mean just you, I mean you and the general you. Like, and that's important to really keep in mind, and I certainly hope that, like, I have no visions of grandeur, I have no, like, expectations about, like, you know, what I do, but I think it's very, very great to see that you haven't forgotten the people who've helped you along the way and who've been in your corner, and just having that community and the people who have just been so supportive of you, who've helped you to grow and told people about what you do, and you also taking the effort to do your own work and learn new things, and really just try to make the stream as interesting and as engaging as it possibly can be. And like that to me is very, very admirable. I think it's very easy to get caught up in the numbers and get caught up in the notoriety and just, you know, forget. But you haven't forgotten, because like the whole basis of your stream, it seems like to me, is basically giving back to your community and like entertaining the people who show up, but also, you know, remembering that, you know, that they're family, like they're a part of the family. And like that's why I love your ending song. Like it's such a great song, because like there's so much wrapped up in that song. Like it makes my heart, like it makes my heart hurt in the best way, because it's so, I think that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to feel like they're a part of something. Everyone wants to feel like they're a part of a family or a part of a community. And like not many people get a chance to experience that. I rarely have had a chance to experience that. And like I love that you do that. And that's like one of the things that I genuinely love about like what you're doing as a streamer. But I do have a question outside of that. I do want to talk about the Undergarden a little bit, like how that all got started also. But with regards to just you individually as a streamer, I want to know, you made your account ChelZChan. It was made in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But you started streaming last year in January.
Mm-hmm.
So
detective, aren't you?
Hey, I don't have a script. I actually just looked this up before the stream. I'll admit to that. But you know, how was that? Was that you just being on Twitch as a viewer, supporting your friends? Like what was? How did that go?
So that initially, this account was created. I actually didn't have a name, and I was still on an alternate account before this account, the Twitch account was created. I was still on an alternate account, still that Mr. Person account, and using a different avatar. Eventually in that account, I put on this avatar unedited, like it was just like black hair, and like, it wasn't even this shirt, and people just said that it kind of fit my energy more, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which I kind of agreed with, and I still do. But I was a very avid viewer of PayMoneyWubby. I really enjoy his YouTube content. He doesn't make much YouTube videos anymore and mainly just sticks to Twitch, which is really unfortunate because I really found that his edited videos was where it's at, and I do think he should go back to that. That's a story for another time. Anywho, watching his stream one day, and he brought up, I think it was Fitz, maybe, or Soda Poppin', but they had somebody on their stream that was a VRChat character that they had green screened into the bottom of their stream to be their mute. And I was like, huh, that's pretty funny. I looked at it, I immediately knew it was VRChat. I saw the avatar, I could tell it was three-dimensional, and I could tell that they're on a yoga ball because they're doing the bouncy bounce. And he put a call out, and he's like, if there's anybody in chat right now who we could have on as a mute right now, that we could just get as like a little green goblin man in the corner, let's get a little goblin guy. Let's get a mute for the stream right now. Hit me or Alex up. Alex is his streaming partner, and I think that's his girlfriend, but I haven't been watching really, so I'm not certain. Anywho, I hit her up in DMs and I was like, hey, I can do this. I can be set up in like less than 15 to 20 minutes. And that's what I did. And I was on PayMoneyWubby's stream. There was like 13,000 people or so.
Wow.
And I was just like a little mute. But I wasn't like a green goblin guy. I was just in, I was in that other avatar at the time. And I was just there reacting. He vored me, which was interesting. And
yeah.
That's pretty much where this account came from. Was like I went and I created this account right after that stream and subscribed to him, and then I just pop in there every once in a while. And it was really interesting seeing the way that his community reacted with me, because they engaged with me a whole lot more than I thought they were going to. And the chat was calling me initially Zipper, which they changed to Rachel, and then that's why there's ChelZ. It's half of Rachel and then D, and then I just threw a Chan on there, but the Z is for Zipper. And then if you look at my Twitter, it's Zip Chan.
Okay. Yeah, I did see that.
But that's the original idea for the name.
Okay.
And even like if you go on his Reddit page, you can search the comments for either Zipper or Rachel, and there's just like a whole bunch of posts where like people are like, when are you bringing her back, Wubby? What did you do with her? And like, where is she? That was one of the funnier ones. Was somebody made fun of Batman, and they did like a meme of Batman screaming, where's Rachel? That one made me crack up. But that's where the name came from, and that's where the Twitch account came from.
Oh wow, okay. Interesting. Wow. So you were already starting off running, like you were just already engaged with like the whole culture of like what Twitch could be and like that kind of content already, like very early on. Oh, wow. Very cool. Very cool. And I may have more questions, but for the time being, I have one more question about streaming. I have way more questions to ask you. But about streaming, in October 2022, you streamed a hell of a lot. I didn't know you back then. So what was going on in October 2022 that caused you to stream like over 600 hours in that month?
October. That would be when the subathon was going.
Okay.
So a lot of those hours are from that.
Yeah, because you had I'm Only Sleeping as one of the categories. So it's yeah. Okay. So that was just the subathon, and how did that go? Was that what you expected?
That went pretty well, yeah. That was a lot of fun. It was a lot more it was a lot more I don't know how people do it. I'm gonna be straight up. I don't know how people do it. That shit is hard. Like, you all you do is eat, sleep, and stream. And it was a struggle. I was fighting for my life. It was rough. I think I definitely want to do one again in the future, but now that I know what the first one was like. I think I could plan for it a lot better. And yeah, I think it'll be a lot more smooth. I think the most difficult stream though that I ever did, aside from that, was the 24-hour visual stream, because that was one that I really wanted to do, because I'm all about like doing things that nobody's thought of or done before. And doing that stream, it wasn't like the first 24-hour stream that I did, where it's like, okay, well, we're bored, let's go play pool, or we're bored, let's go check out this world, or we'll go world hopping or whatever. I'm not going to allow myself to sleep during the 24-hour stream. If it was longer, I might, but I was there in front of visuals for 24 hours, and the only breaks I took was to step away to use the restroom and then come back. And it was just like, when we got near the 18-hour mark, 16 to 18 hours, it just became hellacious. I was getting so tired and so delirious, because I couldn't sleep the day before because I got all anxious about it and excited, and I couldn't sleep. And thankfully, when it came up on the end there, I had a bunch of people who came in and helped me out and came on the visuals and were there with me for the end of the stream. But it was a crawl for a while there. But we had this really unique moment that I don't think I'll ever forget for the rest of my days. Is we had there's an artist called, oh man, what is he called? Never. He actually I believe he produced or co-produced one of the newer Weekend albums. Something FM, Dawn FM. But if you aren't familiar with him, he does a lot of like it's not exactly like synth wave, it's more just like synth ambient music. It's really, really, really cool, and like really a different kind of music, and it has this whole atmosphere that comes along with it. And I streamed a visual stream, I think it was Monday I did that.
Yeah. I remember you, like, I think like I was there for your Monday stream, and you did stream that, you did choose a song that was like very, very like ambient.
Yeah.
Was it that, like, was like closer to the end of the stream that you did that?
That was it, yeah.
Okay.
And Rooney said he really liked it, which really made me happy. I love when I show somebody something and they're like, damn, that's really sick, I want to save that. But I just threw on some of his music, and it's probably like 4 a.m. for me, and there are people in the chat, but whoever's in the chat at that point, most everybody is just kind of like, zombies. They've either got me on in the background or they're zombies and they're just kind of like mindlessly watching. And if it's a 24 hours, like, that totally makes sense. Like, that checks out. Like, I would be checked out if I was trying to watch a whole 24-hour stream. I would be checked out. But there were a few people watching. We had this really intense moment of just, I wasn't saying anything. I didn't feel a need to say anything. I didn't need to spark conversation. I was just there with the visual. Anybody who was watching is watching, but I didn't think anything about being watched. I was just there, being able to just exist in, like, it was almost like a blackout for me, because I went back and I looked at the VOD later, and I cut some of it up and put it on TikTok, and in this moment specifically, but there was about 2 or 3 songs from that artist that I put on, and I just clicked into this zone, and there's like these nature sounds that are intertwined into the songs, and just a whole bunch of these different frequencies that are used, and I just checked in and locked into this zone, and it was just like an out-of-body experience. And there was a couple people in chat that were like, this is intense. Like, it just felt like we tapped into something that you just almost never get to see. And I really don't have the right words to describe it, other than it was an intense experience. It was something I will never forget.
I think people would use the words like spiritual or otherworldly.
Very much so, yeah. Very much so. It was, I guess, it was akin to like when people say that they've reached like ego death or something like that, when they take take like psychedelics, it felt what I would imagine that to feel like. It just felt like everything was right, like everything led up to this thing in this moment right now, and everything is perfect and everything is.
And that was part of your subathon? That was something you did as like was it a reward for that, or?
That was part of the 24-hour visual. That was a little bit before the subathon.
Oh, okay.
It was just that we decided to do another 24-hour stream.
Gotcha. So
that might have been a community challenge. I don't.
Huh. Well, it seems like you went very hard in October. Like, was there a reason for that? Was there a motivation, or was it just like, I want to do it, and it just happened to fall in October?
I wanted to do a subathon during September, and then I missed the mark on that, and I noticed that like a whole bunch of the bigger names were doing it near the end of the month already. Like, okay, well, I might as well start it here at the last couple of days of September because everybody's wrapping theirs up. And then I just kind of went for it. But yeah, I went as hard as I possibly could. I don't know if it was healthy. Probably not the most healthy thing.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think that's like the most important thing. As long as it was fun and kind of worth it in the end, then I think that's like the most important thing. Like, it was just something you wanted to do, something that was, I would say, very much for your community, very focused, community focused, not really for yourself, but just something you wanted to do just to kind of, just be more engaged and spend more time with your community. It seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it seems like that was just something that was very, very important to you. And like, how did you go about doing it? Like, was it like for people who don't know, like, I'm one of the people who don't know, but for people who weren't there, were you like, how did you go about it? Like, was it like, were you working at the time? Was it just like it was a whole hog, like you wake up, stream, sleep, eat, stream? What was it like a cycle of that, or was there anything like in between that aside from that?
I was not working at the time, and it was just literally just sleep, eat, stream it. And near the end, I was getting like really worn down, because when you're in that cycle for 15-20 days, that's one thing, but then you start pushing up on 30. Like, I feel so bad for Tico, because Tico, his subathon lasted like 3 months, I think, which is super good for him. Like, that's great for him. That's epic for him. And I'm super happy that he saw that. But that, it's hard on you. It's really hard on you. And that near the end, when I started to get more worn down, was when I was like starting to give myself a little bit of like, okay, well, you streamed already 8 hours today, tried to get like at least 6 hours of sleep, and you spent a bit of time eating. Let yourself play a game off stream, and let yourself play VRChat and just hang out with people for a little bit off stream. Because there is pressure when you're on camera and on a stream.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You feel like you gotta say something, or you need to say something, and I enjoy that pressure, and I enjoy entertaining when I can. But it is damn near impossible in that mode 24/7 and not lose quality and not lose your mind.
Yeah.
So I was hitting a point where I needed to just kind of let myself have a bit of a.
So when did it? Well, it seems like it ended in like the end of October. So did it start like at the beginning of October and then it ended like at the end of October, and it was uncapped? It seems like.
Correct. Yeah. So it ended at the end of October. Started probably on the 27th of September, something like that.
Okay. And do you remember how you went about ending it? Was it anticlimactic? Was it just like you just ended like any other stream and you're just like, yeah guys, I'm done, peace?
I think it was like that, actually. Yeah. I think I just ended it like any other stream. And let me tell you, I don't think I'd ever been happier from that subathon specifically. I don't think I'd ever been happier to end a fucking stream. Like, to see the placard go up and the credits roll, I was like almost in tears and dropped to my knees. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. That was brutal.
Yeah, like I can't imagine, but like just from what it sounds like, just doing that day after day after day. Like I don't know if I could do that. Like I don't know, like given like where I currently am, I don't know if I could even consider doing a subathon because of like I'm limited to just VRChat at the moment. So like if I could do more, then maybe I could possibly do a subathon, but I can't imagine just even doing it in the first place, especially like, well, I mean, like you weren't working at the time, so it was easier to kind of pull that off and like add in more hours and just, you know, give that time. But like if like you have like a job to deal with as well, like I can't imagine what that's like, especially for streaming every day. Like that's rough.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your like how you do your most recent content, which is, I mean, you do play games on the side. You've played Death Stranding fairly recently. You play a lot of COD. Well, okay, actually, well, I want to talk about video games, but I also want to talk mostly about your visualizations and like how, like what goes into that. Like, so I think a lot of people really love like your visualization content. You had some of like the biggest I'm gonna stroke your ego a little bit more, but you had some of the biggest turnout on your most recent stream that you did recently. That was your biggest turnout, and I think it was because of all the hype of you doing a voice reveal, or it could be more than that. Like, what do you think caused that? Like, I'm assuming you're aware that it was a pretty big turnout, but
I mean, I wouldn't say it was necessarily because of the voice reveal. I think there are people who come by specifically for different types of streams. There are people who come by for media share and only media share. There are people who come by for visual streams and only visual streams. There's people who come by only to see me play Death Stranding or see me play Call of Duty or whatever. There's so many different people with different kinds of tastes.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that there was so many people there was because of Sokk's raid, and she raided me because she needed to send away her viewers after she had done her visual stream, and it was just fitting that I was doing a visual stream as well, so it was a good place for her to send them.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's the main reason that there were like so many people. But typically I think the visual streams tend to average like 30 or so.
Yeah, the visual streams are very, very engaging from what I can tell. Like I'm not one to really like harp on numbers, but like I just wanted to see like what were your thoughts about that most recent stream, because it was an amazing stream. I was only there for like the last like 4 hours, but like I was just in it for that period of time. But I do want to talk about like how you've gone about doing your visualizations. Like, what is like the secret sauce? Like, what do you do in VRChat to like get set up for that? Like, if you can kind of like walk us through a visualization stream and like what you do to prepare for that, that would be really, really cool. I think people would really want to know about that.
It's really demanding on your PC. So if you want to do that kind of thing, it's make sure that you've got a decent rig, good processor. You need RAM, really solid RAM. Solid state drive is probably much better than a hard drive, and definitely a solid GPU. And even with what I have, I think I've got a 3060 with 12 gigs of RAM on the GPU, and some kind of Ryzen. I can't remember what I upgraded to a while ago. But even with what I have, I often find that, you know, I've made nearly 60 different visuals, but I can only show, while I'm streaming at least, I can only show something around 5 of them that actually look decent quality, and even still the resolution's turned down like really hard. So I've been looking into a lot of different ways right now that I can offload that possibly onto like another computer or something like that, so I I can have the stream on one computer and do all the visual processing on another and let it focus on that. That way it could be more quality, and I can show all the other work that I've done, aside from just the 4 or 5 that I've been showing. But to prepare for that, there's really not much to it. Sometimes I'll throw on my haptic vest and sync it with the music. But that's really all there is to it, is I just put my gear on, and I start up OBS, and I start up a second copy of OBS. I go to a green screen world, and one output of OBS is a virtual camera, which then gets fed into Magic Music Visualizer, which is the visualization program itself, and the output of that is sent to my second copy of OBS, which is Stream OBS, through a program called Spout. And then there's 3 other programs that are needed for me to be able to control the visuals. I have to have a 10-key keypad. On my track belt, I put some Velcro, and then I put some on the back of a 10-key keypad I bought off Amazon for $20. And I'm able to just stick that on my hip.
And you can just press the button.
Using memory.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Nice.
And so using memory, I programmed it so there's toggles that, like, if I press the 1 key, it controls, like, whether I'm shaking to the bass. Like, anytime there's a kick drum, you'll see me, like, jump kind of towards the camera, and there's, like, a little reverberation effect around me. I can turn that on and off at will, or I can turn on, like, that stencil outline that you might see. Anything like that. All of that is toggleable, and all of that is programmed. It's kind of like the best way to describe it, which is how Socks described it to me, is it's like switching the lever on a switch track for a railroad, and you're just changing the flow, like you're changing where the train is going.
And you just memorize how to do that without looking, essentially.
Essentially, yeah, and it makes it a lot easier when you use 10 keypads a lot. Like, that was what I used for the last job that I was in, is 10 key keypads all the time, just typing in numbers. And so my brain knows my way around a 10 key pad the same way anybody's brain knows their way around a board. There's just that little dash in the center on the 5 key at the bottom. So if I can get my middle finger on the 5 key, exactly, I know exactly what keys my fingers are on at all times. And so it's just at that point a matter of, like, keeping rhythm, which I'm really good at, and staying focused on the song and vibing the song and enjoying the song. And I just tap my foot away and nod my head a little bit and enjoy myself, and I just kind of lock in and get in the zone, and then just toggle things to the beat, whatever aspects of the beat I'm choosing to focus on, really.
Yeah, like you said, you're like, oh, it's there's nothing to it. It's very easy. And then you go into this whole explanation of, like, how you have your rig, how you do the haptic suit, how you start up 2 copies of OBS. Oh yeah, it's just just simple, like, very basic stuff.
I guess maybe it just seems simple to me. I've been doing it so long that it's just become mostly second nature.
Like, what got you into that?
I just don't think about it too much.
Yeah.
I saw Socks' stream, and I was like, damn, this is really cool. Like, this is something that I want to learn how to do, because it has solid application for me. I have an audio engineering certification. I went to school for 2 years after I'd gotten caught up, and learned how to do all that kind of stuff. And I've lost most of that knowledge. Unfortunately for me, that was, like, right when we were going into Corona, and right when we were going into 2020, and so everybody closed. Like, there were no music venues open, and I couldn't get a job in the industry that I just worked 2 years learning how to do stuff in.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like a really good way, or a way for me to get practical experience with something I already had interest in, and also something that I could use to my advantage in the future, where I can go to a concert and say, and another thing is, like, I would like to be, like, a concert photographer. I would find that very enjoyable. And so a way I could market myself is, like, hey, look, I can run your visuals for you on stage, or I can sell you a visual, I can make you a visual, whatever you want, and I can also film your music or a music video for you. And that's why I've been getting into a lot of videography and editing videos recently is to further my knowledge on that. It's all things I already have interest in that I know can have application outside of the stream and outside of anything else, that someday I can pursue if the need or the want arises. But yeah, I basically, to answer your question, I know I went a little long there, but I saw Sokkz's stream and I thought this is an amazing thing she's doing. It's very, very cool. It's totally different than anything else I've ever seen. And she's one of the few people that's actually out there like really creating new things and trying to be something different than everybody else. And it's great to see that.
Yeah, 100%. Like that, like having someone to look up to who's actually like doing really cool stuff, who's actually doing unique things and not just relying on, you know, basic, you know, general sex appeal is like one of the best things. I really do love to see that. And like I was very, very hopeful that like that I could potentially do the same. And like I think like being able to like create content like that is useful. And I think that there's a very much a low, there's not that much content that's actually like really genuinely good, but also like just different from everything else. I think a lot of people copy a lot of other people, and that causes just a saturation of content that's just very, very basic. Like, you know, let me shake my ass at the camera and, you know, call it a day. And like I just like,
well, I've seen sorry to interrupt you, I've seen a lot of people who have also used the visualizer program, and they've used it for like 1 or 2 streams, and they don't go into it. Like they see it and then they're like, oh, this is hard, like this is too complicated. It's kind of the way that I am with Unity, admittedly, but it's like, this is too much for me, and then they quit out before. Like they'll do 1 or 2 streams with it, or they'll continue streaming with it, but they just like low effort throw a single filter on or something like that. When there's so much, it really takes to wrap your head around the basics of that program. It takes no more than 4 hours. Like it's not that hard connecting different modules. You can pretty much guess what something is by the name of it, and then all you have to do to find out what it actually is just plug it in, and you see what it is. Oh, I don't like that, take it out and put something else in. But I mean, maybe that's just the way that certain people's brains work, and if you liked Legos as a kid, then you'll like this stuff. But
yeah,
there are a lot of people that kind of water it down and saturate it by just not putting much effort into it. And I still, I mean, maybe this is crazy to some people or crazy to you, but to me, I still feel like more saturation. Like I don't feel like, when I look at Sokkz, for instance, I see something that I can't be. Like, I don't think I could ever get on that same level. And it's something to work for sure. It gives me a goal, an end goal. But it's not anything that I feel like I could reach. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying, but funny that her song with Turquoise is actually in my ears right now. It's funny. Good timing.
Yeah. So like, what is it that you can't reach with regards to Sokkz?
Well, I think that the way that her quality is just much higher. It's just different. Also, like the way that her visual streams are is different from mine. It's hard for me to describe as a person doing it. I feel like a viewer would be able to pick out the differences a lot better. But hers are just really, 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 really intricate and well done. Like incredibly well done. And even looking like I had the opportunity for a brief period of time when I'd worked with her to see kind of the flow of how her effects work, and her chain, like her FX chain is just insanity. It's so many different things connected to so many different things, and I have no idea. Like I know that the way that she controls it is different. I don't want to talk about her setup too much because it's not really my place to do so. I don't know if she has more buttons than me. I don't know if it's as simple as that. Maybe she's got a better gaming chair. I don't know. But man, it's crazy the stuff that she's able to do. And it's such an honor when I get rated by her. And yeah, it's so cool that I got to work with her and learn so much of that stuff that I did. It was so much fun to learn. And it's been so much fun to stream it too.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that way. It definitely seems like you have a really good time doing that. And it seems like I enjoy your visualization streams. I enjoy your media share streams too. And I'm curious about what did you do when you first started streaming? Like what kind of content were you creating when you first started? Do you remember?
I think it was mainly just really I would either be streaming just dancing to music, enjoying music, and listening to whatever anybody else wanted to listen to. We would just put random stuff on, and I always that's why you always find me in the rooftop, is that that's my happy place. Is I just like to put music on and like I can't not be around it. I've got it on right now. But I would be sitting there at the mirror making a playlist, and I would think to myself, okay, what do I want to follow this song? What do I want to follow up Boston with? What do I want to follow up Fall Out Boy with, or Panic with? Like, where can I go from this artist? How can I get us to this genre from this artist? Little game I play. And so I make these playlists and try and tell a story, and sometimes it's themed, like it could be themed around love, or it could be themed about like sadness or whatever, and I can tell a story periodically through different artists, through different genres, even in the same way that somebody might be able to tell a story through their album from top to bottom. It's similar, and I always try and end in some sort of like happy note, or bring some kind of closure to a listening session when I have one. And so that's what I would do back then, and I still do. I don't dance quite the same way. Don't really know why that is, but
what do you mean?
I would just go to a different, well, I just like on stream, that was all I had back then. And now that I have all these other tools at my disposal, I feel almost naked when I don't have visuals to pump out with my music, and it's not as enjoyable to me. And so back then, what was enjoyable to me at the time with the tools I had available was just put the camera in front of me, put music on, pick through the playlist, and dance. Which I was already used to doing in the Void Club and stuff, but yeah, just different now that I've got more tools. And then to go back and answer your question though, other than that, I would just kind of go around and go with Neppy and explore different worlds and check things out, and just kind of overall hang out. That was pretty much all I did back then.
I see.
Work like a 9-10 hour shift, and then come here, stream for 8 hours, 8-9 hours, go to sleep, do it again the next day.
So you prefer to have the visualizers behind you while you're dancing, rather than just kind of like dancing, just like as is?
Pretty much, yeah. But I'm not super picky on it. Like, I like to come here and dance in front of the mirrors.
Yeah, I've done that with you a couple of times. Always very fun. But I often feel like you're so like deep. You often get so deep into the music that I feel like it's like I can't like talk to you, because like you're very much into it. And like
yeah,
I can sense that. I can sense that, like you obviously before tonight it was always just like I was talking with someone who was a mute, and like, but I could always just kind of sense when you were just kind of just like you were just in it. You're just feeling it. And
I'm mostly zoned in, and like everything else just goes right over me, and I most of the time don't hear what people are saying. But there are like moments where somebody will say something or say my name, and I'll catch it just barely through the music, and I'll just like turn over and be like, what? I've had a few moments like that. Some really funny moments. Like a couple weeks ago, there was a time where somebody had asked me something, and the song ended up saying something that would have been an answer to whatever they were asking me, and probably not an answer I would have said, but it was an answer to what they were asking. And the way that it just timed up, you just kind of had to be there. But it was so perfect because they said something, they said my name, and then they said something, like asked me a question, and I turned to look at them because I heard my name, and the song coming out of my microphone answered the question they were asking me the moment I turned to them, and it felt like the energy was that I was answering their question. Yeah. It was just such this like perfectly odd time up. Synchronization, I guess.
Yeah, just like it's just in the moment, had to
It's
be
the
there.
Matrix, man.
Yeah. But like oh god, I want to like gosh, there's still still so much I need to talk to you about. But I want to talk about, since we're still kind of in the streaming, we're kind of at the tail end of talking about streaming stuff. I want to talk a little bit about the Undergarden and like how that came to be. And I know you said you and Neppy basically kind of put that together. So I'd like to hear a little bit about that. Again, this is all stuff that I'm generally curious about. It's not simply about like, well, like what do you like? What do you do? I want to know about the things that you care about and the things that have been a part of your life for a long period of time. So I'd want to hear a bit about that.
About the Undergarden?
Yeah. How did that come to existence? How did that come to be a thing? Not just with creating the Discord, but like the name, like just how has that been, I guess, a part of your life, and how that has kind of come to be.
So I think kind of with the name, where it came from, and I could be wrong on this. We were just kind of coming up with names, something that would be interesting. I guess I can't really give out this alternate account, but I have an alternate Discord account that went by a name that was like kind of plant oriented in a way, and that was back when before I had a ChelZChan Discord account. Mm-hmm. And I don't use that account anymore, but that was when I had initially met Neppy, and so that was probably factored into the name in some way. It's just been so long I can't quite remember. But I do know that it was partially because we felt kind of like VRChat's kind of an underground community, just in itself, and a lot of the musicians that you see on here are kind of underground artists that haven't really blossomed yet, and that's kind of the other part is the Undergarden is a place for people who are kind of underground to grow and blossom and become something. Yeah, that's kind of where the name came from. And the community has just been kind of a hodgepodge of people like that we've met through VRChat, like just randomly in passing, people who've been at Midnight Rooftop or been at Void Club or any of the other places that we meet people. They've just come in here and everybody's always kicking it and vibing. Boogly, Kitty, all of them. Just everybody that we've met through passing, and we've just kind of grown, no pun intended.
Right. So like you would say that it's largely a community of music lovers? Would that kind of be like a nice kind of rounding way of putting it, or would you say something more? Is it anything more than that?
I would say so, yeah. I think it's a lot more than that, but it's really hard to put a pin on what it is exactly, because there's so many people with so many like different hobbies and different interests. There are some people there that don't really care for music all that much, or they might have a specific genre of music, like they prefer metal, but they come and hang out and listen to other stuff. And that was actually one of the first couple of things that I started doing in my stream was trying to introduce people to new music and trying to introduce myself to new music, and that's kind of what we do with the visual streams. But it's hard to nail down. Like, there are a lot of people in the Undergarden, for instance, that really love anime, and it makes sense because a lot of these people spend so much time on VRChat where everybody's an anime character.
Yeah, basically,
but personally myself, I don't really watch anime. Like, I hardly watch any of it. You couldn't mention more than like 4 shows without like finding at least one I don't know the name of.
We can't be friends anymore.
I think
by
the
way.
only anime I'm sorry, that's unfortunate.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I think I think the only one that I really know, like my favorite anime, almost the only anime that I've ever watched was FLCL, and I felt like the second season did it dirty.
Yeah, second season was unnecessary.
One Punch Man is also pretty good.
But
yeah,
I've
second
watched,
season, I don't know. They should have just ended it after 1, in my opinion.
Yeah, the first FLCL was like, I've watched that like a lot. I've watched
religiously
that so
myself.
many times. Yeah,
so good.
It's very good.
The fucking soundtrack slaps.
Yeah,
the story is so good, and it's so entertaining.
Yes.
It's so over the top and weird and wild and interesting. It just doesn't feel like you're quite your basic anime. It doesn't feel like. It just doesn't feel like the norm. It feels like it broke out of that shell.
Yeah.
So.
It was very good for its time, very different, very, very bold for its time. But still very musically oriented. Yeah.
I want that guitar so bad. I want the bass guitar and I want Hakun's guitar so bad.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally get that, and like it makes sense that you would have a lot of people in the Undergarden who just have various interests, and that's cool. Like, you know, I think if people are willing to like understand each other and listen to each other, like expose each other to different things, and just being open-minded, I think that's like the most important thing. Like, I don't have like a community of my own. I don't have a Discord or anything. I just have like the Undergarden and Fifi's community, but like I want to like have my own community too. Like I want to have a group of people who are very much like open-minded, and like this is the kind of stuff that like, kind of like how you are very much like we're all family, we're in this together, you know, love yourself, love each other, like those sorts of values. Like you and I very much vibe on that same level. Like it's very much like that's kind of what I want for my community also, and just people to be open-minded, being willing to listen to each other, and
well, you know what you need to do, right?
Make a Discord.
You need to start, you need to start a Discord, because you're not going to be able to grow a Discord unless you have one.
I know, I'm working on it. I announced that like a week ago to my on stream to the people who like come to my streams, whatever. So like they know it's coming soon. It's coming soon. Especially since I multi-stream.
And
go ahead.
I think the next best thing after that is go out and meet people on here. Like, just go to random public lobbies and talk to people, and like just have it in your bio. And if they're interested in checking you out and they're interested in involving themselves in a community, I wouldn't even really go so far as to like go out and tell people to join, unless you really think they would be a good fit. But most of the time, if somebody's interested and they're feeling like they want to join a community, they'll seek that out. Because a lot of people, they have, especially on here, they've got a community already, and it's like a small group of like 2 or 3 friends, or whatever. But I mean, it's really weird for me. Like, that's how I've always been on this game, is like a community of 5 to 10 friends, and we never really had a server. It was always just like we would jump in calls together, and now it's like there's this whole Discord server and all these people, and all of them are friends with each other. Like,
yeah, which is crazy.
Everybody is everybody's homie.
Yeah.
And it happens, but it just takes time. It just takes time.
Yeah.
But you got to start a Discord server. That's the first step.
Yeah, I do. Like I was very, like I said earlier, like I suck with community stuff. I mean, I'm fucking horrible with it. Because I always think, like, my thinking is always like, oh, people say they want a community, and then you make it, and then they don't come. So it's always that weird.
Just don't be discouraged.
Yeah.
Just don't be discouraged. Don't let it get to you. And ultimately, you should, just don't make it about that. Just offer the place for people to come to if they want. And nothing is expected and everything is appreciated.
Yes.
And I fucking appreciate the hell out of the company that I have.
100%. Yeah, I definitely can feel that. Like, I can definitely see that and feel that. Your love life.
Oh boy. Zesty.
So, let's just say, how can we go into this? How do I usually go into this? Let me ask, what do you look for in a partner? And have you ever found any of those qualities in anyone recently? Or actually, let's start. Like, do you have any romantic interest? Do you have interest in having romantic relations with people? Is that something that is interesting to you? Are you asexual? Let's start like at the very, very top. How about that?
Okay. I mean, yeah, I do.
Okay. Cool. So like, what do you look for in a partner? What are things that you find interesting, or something that would be like a deal breaker, or things like that? I ask this of all of my guests, and I usually save it for like way into the podcast, so we can weed out all the people who stop watching like early on. So like the people who've kept watching can get the juicy.
They get the special juice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't say it like that. I can't say special juice. I guess, I mean, the same things most people look for. I feel like at least most people say whatever somebody puts on the resume when it comes to that kind of thing. Somebody who can communicate well. That's been my blight in the past, was relationships that I've been in that just end up having one-way communication, or like one person maybe feels that they aren't really getting what they need out of a relationship, and they just kind of like check out of it. And it's extremely hurtful for the person that isn't checked out, because they're investing a lot of their time and their effort and their energy into the other person, but not receiving reciprocal. I also look for somebody who can put up with me, because I'm kind of a lot. I do a lot of shit, and this is weird for most people.
Yeah.
Most people that I would talk to outside of VR have no idea what VRChat is. So to try and explain what my stream is and what I do and all of that to somebody, it can come off kind of off-putting. So I guess just somebody kind of with an open mind. There's not really a whole lot of deal breakers. I mean, it's if you communicate, then most things can either be worked through or resolved, or some kind of middle ground can be met. But the only deal breakers would be if middle ground can't. So I don't really know. I don't think of it a whole lot. I didn't when I started streaming, I was fresh out of a relationship and just hurting a lot, and so back then I was just completely like, I don't want to talk to anybody like that. I just have no interest, and I felt that way for a long time. But you can only feel that way for so long, I feel like, and sometimes things just kind of fall in your lap and say, okay, this feels right. It wasn't something that I felt I wanted to continue to seek out for my own personal satisfaction. I didn't feel like I wanted to find somebody, and I felt like I feel like currently, like, I feel like when you seek out a relationship and you're hunting that out, it's a recipe for you to get yourself hurt, because you're going to find something not really worth it.
100%.
Whereas if it is worth it, it's worth just waiting and letting it happen naturally. And I think there's a lot of like stigma around that. Like, people seem to think that just because you're not actively looking for it, that it won't show its head, or it'll never come. But you just kind of have to have faith, and that's a fun word.
That is a fun word. It's a very loaded term that has a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people in this day and age. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, but I definitely feel you there. Like, the idea of actively searching for a relationship, I think, is overrated. I don't think that's how it should be. I think it's important to keep an open mind, and you never know who can come your way, and that sort of thing. But to like to be actively trying to force something to happen because you're feeling one way or another in your life, I think it is a recipe for just getting yourself hurt. It's a recipe for like making things more difficult than they have to be, not just for yourself but for the other person. And I think it's super super necessary for people. I think I think the biggest issue is that there's so much pressure to be in a relationship with someone, but like I don't think like some people don't quite know how to be. Well, they don't know how to just be. But they also don't know how to just be by themselves, kind of thing, and just kind of like work on themselves and do the things that they're passionate about. Have a passion, have a hobby, like do something that brings you joy. And when you do that, then you're bound to find someone who can appreciate.
Like, yeah, exactly. That's attractive. Somebody who is passionate about something, somebody who's driven and wants to do something and through. That is a turn on. Yeah, I that's it. Like, that's the thing. But exactly that. If you focus on you and you focus on just being and finding the things that you enjoy, then through those things you'll find people that you're more likely to get along with and more likely to be with, because they also enjoy those things because they're doing them with you, and doing them with you is more fun than if they were just doing it, because doing it is one thing, but if you've got somebody to do it with, a lot more, like dancing, or if you play VRChat a lot, that's fun, or if you play a lot of Call of Duty and you find somebody that you really jive with and that you share a lot of the same views on things, and they play the same games as you, or you guys enjoy different TV shows, but you enjoy showing them that TV, or they enjoy showing you a TV show. You both can kind of... There's this fun thing that goes on, like, if I were to show you the TV show Scrubs and you've never seen it before, I've seen it all the way through. The last season's terrible. Don't watch the last season. But it's kind of like FLCL. But in that same way, it's kind of like watching it with somebody else, or like Letterkenny, for instance. Like watching that with somebody who's never seen that show before, and they really pick it up, and they're like, this is really fun, I enjoy this. It's like I already got to enjoy the funny one time, but now I get to enjoy the funny a second time, and it's exactly, I get to see the show through a set of fresh eyes again.
Yeah, that's the best.
It's just
so
rewarding.
Thing. I love that too.
Yeah.
Like I think that's like one of the hardest things to like find in a person. Someone who's like willing, someone who's open-minded enough to try something that they've never tried before, or engage with something that they've never engaged with. Like I don't think that that's very common these days. Like, it's so hard to like find an individual who is that open-minded and that free-flowing to just like, hey, this is a new experience. And not only is it a new experience, but if you happen to already be in a relationship with them, like, it's a new experience that you get to share with someone that you love. Like, why the hell would you not want to do that? Like, and to me that always seemed weird to me. But I personally I've not had very good luck. Like 2022, like you said, when you started streaming, you freshly got out of a relationship. 2022, like I had my share of a relationship, which was not good. Not good for me either. And that's kind of, it's so funny because I actually started streaming not long after that ended for me. Because I had the freedom, I was allowed to explore the things that I've wanted to explore and engage with VRChat in a way that I wasn't able to before. And
you also have a lot more free time, yeah.
Yeah, and way more free time, like less pressure, less responsibility. And I both appreciate the idea of being in a relationship with someone, but also I really appreciate having time for myself.
Space.
Yeah.
Yes, dude, yes, exactly that.
Yeah. And like
I have to have that free time. I have to have time away. It helps you, like, that isn't the term, how's the phrase go? Distance makes the heart grow fonder, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it really is a thing. Like, it's really a thing.
I totally agree. It's important to be able to have both. And not only to have both, but for the person to not feel like, oh, there's something weird going on. Oh, maybe this person's cheating on me. Like, for their mind to not immediately go to the worst possible scenario.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I've been through 2 relationships that have ended in me getting cheated on, and I realized that at a certain point, like, from their point of view, if the person's always questioning whether you're faithful or not, it makes you wonder whether they're faithful or not. Because, like, for me, like, if somebody was questioning whether I'm faithful or not all the time, like, I've got so much stuff going on, and, like, I'm talking to so many people and, like, hanging out in different places, so many different people, and if I was in a relationship and somebody was, like, worried about, like, where I am and what I'm doing and who I'm with, and they're thinking that I'm not faithful, it makes me worried. It makes me worried where I wouldn't already be. It makes me worried that maybe they're not being faithful and that it's just some kind of projection. So I'm not innocent of it. Like, I've definitely been in relationships and thought, like, this is kind of sketchy, and sometimes for good reason. And it can happen time to time, but it really is more of a problem when somebody is doing that consistently, and when it's like an almost like every week kind of thing, like, oh, okay, you're gonna be with this person, all right, well, and then they give you like some kind of passive aggressive answer, or like kind of send off, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna let your passive aggression get to me. I'm just gonna go enjoy my time.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
So
I think
go ahead.
To get back, you were saying about turn-offs. I guess my main turn-off, if there was any, or like a deal breaker, is like, and it really almost any form. Like, I don't even like when somebody would lie to me, like saying if I was in a relationship, they would lie to me, like, I would tell them, have you ever seen Back to the Future? I love that series. Have you ever seen the Back to the Future series? And they have, and then they're like, oh no, I've never seen it. And then, like, later they're, like, quoting all this stuff from it that they just happened to pick up the first time through, or, like, all these different tidbits and facts because they've actually seen it and know a lot about it. It's like, why would you lie and tell me that you've never seen it so we could watch it the first time through? It's not that deep. Like, if you enjoy it and I enjoy it, that's good enough for me. Seeing it the first time through is special, but, like, it's not a necessity, and I'm just as happy watching it through with you if you enjoy it. So lying, I think, is probably my big take away from that, my turn off.
I have to be with you on that. Like, that's lying is just it's unnecessary. Like, if you're in a relationship with someone, then the expectation is that you're actually, like, you're supposed to be able to not only trust that person, but also be able to just be real. Like, you're supposed to be able to, like, be very down to earth and be able to communicate in ways that are just very, very, like, very basic communication. Like, I like this. I like that you do this. I have a problem that you do this. Like, it just
this made me feel this way. This made me feel sad when you did this.
Yeah.
And I was frustrated when I saw this. It's very basic communication, and it's tough to see that not a whole lot of people are able to do that these days.
That's really what makes the whole enterprise of relationships, like, so I don't like it. Like, it's frustrating to, like, have to even, like, go through that shit. But, like, whenever there's, like, I will say that I am guilty of being the kind of person who will, like, I wouldn't say, like, I don't fall in love easily anymore, but, like, I am, whenever there's someone who exhibits the possibility of, like, actually being a decent person with a good head on those shoulders and who can, like, communicate and, like, have just some basic baseline, like, good qualities about them, I'm just like, wow, this is a fucking unicorn. There's barely anyone who can fucking keep up with me these days.
Opens legs. Fuck me.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just like it's so rare to encounter people like that these days, and, like, it shouldn't be that way, but, like, I'm grateful for the internet, because if it weren't for the internet, I would be a fucking hermit. Like, I would be, like, I would be such a fucking hermit because like there should like it would be so hard to meet new people. But like, you know, through VRChat and just various other games that I play, I've met so many interesting people. And it's just nice to know that there are actually people who out there who actually are capable of just basic decency. just very basic decency.
Well, I mean, even with that, you're still met with so many people on this game, like, for instance, that don't have decency and intentionally come into the game to disrupt other players and just make everybody have a bad time. But if, you know, it's almost...
Those are the loneliest people,
It's almost equal to the amount of good people. Exactly.
Those are the
all
loneliest
projection.
people.
It's 100% projection. Anytime you see it, like somebody comes in here using like homophobic slurs or whatever, it's 90% of it's always projection, and they're just saying what they're saying what they're assuming they have to say to maintain a persona and maintain face. And it's sad to watch. It's really sad to watch.
It's really pathetic.
There's not much you can do, because if you try to argue with them, they won't hear you. They'll just yell louder, and that's the really annoying.
You can't argue.
So yeah, just block people.
Yeah, basically. You can't argue with people who've already made up their mind. You can't argue with people who didn't use logic to get to where they are. If they're completely like in their feelings, there's no amount of logic is going to get through to them. So it's just like.
And one thing before we move on a little bit.
Yeah.
I just want to add this to the lying segment we were talking about. I think you not just in a relationship, but I just really don't feel like there's a whole lot of necessity to lie in unless you're lying to your boss. But other than lying to your boss, you shouldn't really ever have a need to lie. Definitely don't lie to your friends either. Don't really lie to people that you just met unless you're like in an incident where there's like road rage or something and this person's gonna whoop your ass or something. Like, you don't lie to anybody that you care about, period. And I mean, you can care about your boss, but if you need a fucking sick day and you've been worked for like 3 weeks straight, tell him that you're sick when you're not. Who cares? It's a corporation and he's just a figurehead in it, and it shouldn't really be a personal thing. It's just like you're really just lying to the corporation, not the person.
Right.
So,
right. I agree.
And
with that.
I'm never gonna get hired anywhere because somebody's gonna look this up and be like, this guy, they lie, dude. They lie to the bosses. They don't care about us. It's like some big convention for bosses, and my avatar's face is pasted up on a presentation
Don't
board.
be like this person.
What an asshole.
Well,
he wanted a day off when he wasn't sick. What a motherfucker.
Well, my face would be up there too because I honestly straight up lied about me being sick so I could play a video game. So I did today. I did that this week. So my face would be up there too. Yeah.
What video game was it?
Was
it this? It was this, wasn't it?
No, it was FF14.
Oh, okay. Wait, didn't they just have their last, like, the servers just went down, or did it just launch?
No.
I saw they killed one of the Final Fantasies.
They didn't kill any of the Final Fantasies. They had a new patch release. They had a new patch release on this week. So they had to do maintenance. So their servers were down for the maintenance for the patch. But that's probably what you've heard. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But the game is okay. It's alive and well. But yeah. I totally lied to just be able to play. Yeah. Yeah. My friends were meeting up to like do some content, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be there for that. So yeah. But yeah, lying strategically for the sake of, you know, like something that's not serious and you're not personally invested in. Sure. But if you're personally invested with a relationship, you know, with a friend, loved one, whatever, lying, I think, is, you know, unnecessary.
And I mean, lying with work is still, like, personally invested, but just be smart about it. Like, have a legitimate alibi and have somebody who can back you up on it if you need. Like, if you've got those two things, somebody to corroborate your story, then you should be all right.
Yeah.
Teaching people how to lie to their boss right now. But I'm telling you this from an ex-managerial position, so I know.
I used to be a person in power. You can
if they
trust
didn't-
me.
if an employee came to me asking for a day off, and I know that they literally posted on their Snapchat story, which I was friends with them, I saw you were out drinking last night.
That's so
You're
dumb.
bullshitting me. I come in hungover. You can come in hungover. Just get your ass in here. We need your support.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, yeah, just be good lying bosses. Like, don't be stupid about it. Because then that's the thing is like I would then call you in and I'd be like, no, I saw you were out drinking, and then beyond that I'm like, not only did this person just lie to my face, but they're not smart enough to cover their tracks, and if they're not smart enough to cover their tracks, they're really not smart enough for a raise. So I didn't have control over that kind of stuff, but I could at that, where I was at, I could be like, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, this person's been working really, really hard. But anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, lying. Yeah, basically, the deal breaker is lying. And I think a person with no goals, for me, that's a deal breaker. Someone with no motivation to really pursue anything of real meaning, that to me, that bothers the fuck out of me. Because like I have encountered so many people who have been very just, they would be like, oh, I can't, like, oh, there's nothing I can do. Oh, there's like this and that in the way. And like, I get that. I get the, like, strategically speaking.
Make a million excuses.
Yeah, but without taking just like even a baby step forward. They're too afraid to even do that. And like I can't get behind anyone who doesn't have any goals. Like no ambition. Like my Discord title thing, my Discord comment thing is like, passion will always be sexy. Like you gotta fucking have that. Like, and like in my case, but like what do you think about that?
I totally agree, and I think a lot of that comes from like, for people, the role models that they had in their life. For example, for me, I drew a lot of that from my stepfather, where he always is trying to find something to work on. He bought himself like a really small sailboat to use on a lake nearby quite a while ago. I think it's been sold actually. But when he bought himself that, he wanted to learn, the objective for him was to learn how to sail. It wasn't to own a sailboat or necessarily to sail around the world or anything. He just wanted to learn how to sail because he is near retirement age and wanted to get that under his belt and say that he did. And even at 60, whatever he's at, 67, 8, something like that. My parents are very old. No offense, Mom, Dad, but he wanted to get that under his belt, and it was fun to see him do that. And like, he had to learn knot tying, and then he needed to learn how to properly like con a boat, and then needed to learn all these new things about how that would work, because he already knew how to drive a power boat but never a sailboat. But yeah, you're never too old to learn something new. You're never too old to pursue something, and it costs you almost nothing to get started. And he didn't even necessarily need to buy a sailboat to do that. He just didn't want to fuck up somebody's like rented boat. But if you want to like make YouTube videos and you want to learn how to edit videos, you can do that for almost nothing. There's free editing softwares out there. There's free trials you can get, and then you can save up and you can learn a lot on those programs. Like before I bought the editing software that I've been using to work on this YouTube video recently, I had been saving for a while, and I'd been using that same software, but just using the free trial version to learn how to like edit stuff together. And while doing that, I had been watching other people who were creating the kind of content that I wanted to make. To learn like what is entertaining, what do I find fun, like what is something that is engaging to me that keeps me watching, and how do they do it, where are the cuts, where are the edits, how often, how many memes within a 5-minute portion do they put in, And it's all everything, like for something like that, it's all statistical.
Yeah.
And you can iron it out just by watching the content, and just you have like I made a tally sheet, and I had like a 5-minute period of different videos that I would take, or a 10-minute period where I'd watch like 5-10-minute videos, something like that. And I would have this tally sheet that would have like memes, cuts, effects, and I would just make a tally every time I saw one. And so I could say, okay, within this sample portion, here is the average between these videos. And all of it is traceable, and all of it is free for you to research right there if that's something that if that's something that you're driven to get into.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like you can make the excuses all day and you can back away, but there's so many things you can do even if you don't have the money to buy the thing that you need to get to do the actual thing. There's so much you can do in preparation for buying the thing that it'll set you up to just slingshot you once you actually purchase.
Exactly. Like we live in a day and age where there is, like you said, there's literally no excuses for learning something new. The internet is filled with information on everything. There's people who've tried everything and have commented on practically everything, almost everything, not everything, but the majority of things. And I just coming in contact with a person who doesn't have any manner of passion or just or willingness to pursue a goal, and they'll just make excuses. It's totally just not. It doesn't make any sense in 2022, 2023. It doesn't make any sense. So, like, yeah.
I think one of the main reasons it's unattractive too is that those same people who are like saying I can't do this because it's this reason, that reason, is like, you can try and explain to them like directly how they could do it.
Yeah.
But they will still continue to just chase down every excuse. No matter what you throw at them, they will find every excuse to not do the thing. And you just have to want it. And if you don't chase it down, or you're not willing to look for those things, then you don't want it bad enough.
Exactly.
Just don't.
Yeah. Like,
and you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, true. Like anyone can talk about what they want to do, what they want to make, but if you're not actually taking the steps to at least do it, you're just talking out of your ass. Like all of what I do, all of what you've done, it's because of like an interest. You've had a genuine interest to learn, and you've taken the steps to learn. And same with me. Like, I'm just one person, but like I've put together the stuff for the podcast. I've done like shorts on YouTube. I did my own research to figure out like what is things that I find funny, but what are the things that actually are, how are shorts typically done on YouTube, what actually does well. Like, you do all the research, you weigh what's available, and you figure things out, and you try. So, it's, you gotta try, and even if you fail, I think I bring this up with a lot of my guests, but like, I think people forget the basics of how we've learned how to do things in life. I think people have forgotten that when they were a baby,
like riding a bike.
Yeah, like riding a bike, but even further back than that, when they were a baby, you had to fall over a couple of times to learn how to walk. We've been failing since we were infants. But we always got up.
I think that a lot of that is probably born from this age we live in of instant gratification. And I think that that's probably a term a lot of people are sick of hearing, and it's because it's brought up a lot, and it's brought up a lot because it's true. We live in an age of instant gratification. And if people can't get something, if they can't be as good as they want to be immediately,
then
they just fucking
like,
quit.
Yeah, yep. I failed once. Oh, this is just too hard. Oh, I don't understand this thing. Yeah. No. I agree. Yeah, it's the time that we live in is both a I would say it's a boon, but it's also like horrible for anyone who just has no like they have no ability to like pursue the things that they want to pursue, because we're so used to just having things quick. We're so used to having the internet fast, and just like if we don't get something immediately, we freak out. and especially people who are much younger for sure. It's very, very, very sad. But I think there's definitely room. And the people who are actually pursuing the things that they need to pursue, I think those are the ones that will actually, come out in the end. But we need more people to actually like be willing to do that sort of thing. And I guess that's why I guess that's what makes streamers weird. Kind of bring it full circle. Like, cause like streamers are people who actually have been doing this thing. They know what it's like to fail. They have some semblance of like what it means to succeed, what it means to like to do well. And the ones who just don't worry about their numbers, I feel like those are the ones who actually end up going beyond what they would expect. Because, people look at their numbers, they see that they're only having 1 or 2 viewers, and then they quit.
Well, I think there's a middle ground to be struck there. For instance, I've got a friend of mine who doesn't really care about his numbers, but he streams one game and one game only, and all he does is stream that game. He doesn't engage with his community. He's like, why is my stream not growing? Why is my community not growing? Like, man, you don't have a community because you don't talk to anybody and you don't actively want a community. Like, you don't engage with anybody except like a couple people who come by to see how far you are in the game, and they're like, oh cool, you are, and then they leave. And they're like, oh, you deranked, okay, and they leave.
Yeah.
But like, you gotta diversify. Like, even with the game that he's playing, he could still make a really awesome community around that and do a lot of really fun stuff, but there's almost no effort being put in. And then when I tried to like give him some examples of some things, he was like, oh yeah, I might do that, and then never did. And then still at like 1 or 2 viewers, and one of them's Nightbot, and it's like, oh man, why am I here? It's like, dude, you know why you're here. Like, and
you left yourself here because you tied yourself down here.
It's unfortunate because he's trying, and I can see that he's trying, but he's just not trying hard enough, and he's not putting himself into it as much as he could be. So I think it's like a case of like, I want this thing and I kind of expect it to just fall in my lap, and it doesn't work like that, at least not for most people. There are the one-offs, and like people who make a YouTube video that just goes positively fucking balls to the wall, head on the ceiling bonkers, and that is like 1 in a million. You're more likely to win the lottery than to have that shit happen to you on social media or anything like that. And there's just this, again, it boils down to what we were just talking about, instant gratification. They want to just make something and then blow up. But like, have these people even thought farther than that? Like, let's say that were to happen to that person. So what do you do next? Now you're still just streaming the same thing every day, and you're like this suddenly bumping community that you have. How are you going to hold that down? What are you gonna do to continue to make that fun for them? Because it wasn't fun for them before, and they only came for the video, which happened to be fun. You can alter what you're doing to make it more like the video, but if you haven't changed the way that you've been doing things, how do you know that you can even change to meet what they're looking for, what they saw in that video? So I don't know. It's a very difficult and interesting thing to see people who want something but never want it hard enough to chase.
Yeah.
It's tough to watch.
It is, but I think, at least us doing what we do, then we have an opportunity to really reach those kinds of people. But I want to bring it back. We talked about streaming already, so we're gonna bring it back to relationships, because that's where we were initially. Crazy enough, I know it's hard to believe.
Yes.
That's where we were. But my next question in regards to that is, like, are you single right now?
I would say no.
Okay.
I'm working my way around the situation that I'm in.
Cool.
Or
So,
I guess not around, but like through. I don't know how to phrase it. I'm in a relationship. I think
okay.
that's probably the easy way to put it.
All right, cool. Hey, that's great. That is absolutely fucking wonderful. So, like, with that in mind, like, with that in mind, I would say, so, most people I talk to aren't in relationships, so it's like, oh, okay. I usually have something to like kind of go with that. um, but it's nice. I'm happy that's working out for you. Has it been for very long?
It's been a few months. It's probably at least been like 8 months at this point. Not, I mean, more like 8 months since like I met them and we started like kind of talking. And things have just been kind of been just going with the flow and seeing where it goes. Like I said, like, earlier about relationships and not like pushing or searching for them. I definitely was not, and things just happened to just come together, and like I feel like I jive with this person more than almost anybody I've ever jived with. So yeah, it's just different. It's just different, and it's different in a lot of ways, and it's forced me to like really think about things I'd never thought about in having a relationship with somebody.
Like what?
Like for instance, I'd always thought that I'd always thought of myself as like pretty heterosexual, or at the very least like, or very most I should say bisexual. So to me, like a relationship with somebody of the same gender was kind of like off the table, and that was mainly because I wanted biological kids. And then I just kind of hit a point where I was just like, why does that matter to me? Does it really matter that much? Do I really need to carry on? Like, is there some legacy here to carry on? Because all I'd be carrying on is alcoholic genes from my father, and then alcoholic genes from my grandfather on my mother's side, and like that ain't good for a kid. And I found that I was like chasing down kind of this idea of what a relationship should be based off of what I'd seen in media, rather than what I actually felt it should be myself.
Yeah.
So I just slowed down a little bit and thought about it. And I do feel like there's a lot of like good that can come from like, if I did want to have kids down the road, there's a lot of good that can come from like adopting somebody.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And giving a kid a good life, because there's a fuckload of kids that are in orphanages right now. Shit, I could adopt the next Bruce Wayne. But like,
who knows?
There's a lot of kids out there that really need a solid home and a good foundation, and they're not going to get that from an orphanage. And like, that's an opportunity to do something amazing for somebody who would have an otherwise really terrible life, potentially. So I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of good that can come out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, speaking of that, like, I mean, well, I'll go ahead and say this myself. You know, I'm kind of in like that. I'm in a similar boat. Like, I generally am very much of like, I will not be able to have children. So the idea of like, I've already kind of written off the idea of passing anything on, biologically speaking. So like, for me, it's very, very similar. That's similar thinking. Like, I had to kind of weigh the idea of like, is this very important to me? And like, I took a step to kind of, you know, make it so that if I wanted to, I could. But unfortunately, that step fell through, and I wasn't really able to like, you know, maintain what I'd done to, you know, make that possible. So the idea of adopting is very much something that, you know, hits home for me, because like, you know, that's not something that I would be able to do. Well, biologically speaking, but adopting would be something that I would have an option to do if I wanted to, if it was something that, you know, me and the other person
I'm sorry to hear that, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Like, it was a conscious choice that I had to make. With regards to that, it's not something that, like, you know, like, it's like a medical condition or anything like that, but I just had, like, based on things that happened in my life, I had to, like, make that decision. But, yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, I get the idea of like, hey, if I really do want to like have that experience of being a parent, adopting is definitely something that is definitely not off the table, and I think it's something that, I think you can always, create a good home for someone, because you never know, who you might end up with. So yeah, I definitely feel that is what I'm trying to say. So like so being in a relationship, like what are your hopes with regards to like being in a relationship with someone? I'm assuming it's long distance.
Yeah.
Okay. So like obviously I think VR, like I would imagine VRChat is making that easier to kind of work around, that's again the beauty of it. You get the face to face without actually being face to face, while actually being face to face. It's pretty awesome that way. So like, well, I guess what would you like what do you hope to, I guess, do? Like, do you think there's anything about what you do that you'll need to adjust or change, or anything that you think is important to, I guess, think about now that you're tied up with someone? Or are you or is everything cool? Like, are you cool like the way things are? You don't think you need to adjust anything, and everything is just gonna kind of, be good?
Well, that's kind of what I mean about like feeling it out. I don't know what life is gonna throw at me, or them, and there's so many things that can change for either of us at any given point in time. So
Yeah.
just riding the waves as they are, and as they come to me, and enjoying what I have, which they've been helping me do a lot better than I had been. And they help me to kind of like appreciate the moment of where I am and what I'm existing in, more consciously, and being present within a moment rather than thinking about making all these like extended plans for the future, which I used to do. And that often leads to trouble, especially in relationships where you fantasize and you build up this idea of, oh, we're gonna get married and we're gonna have, like, there's some people out there who are like, we're gonna get I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna have 3 kids, I'm gonna have a boy and 2 girls, and then they're gonna go to this school, and then the other one's gonna go to this school, and then they're gonna go to a private school, and then I'm gonna work this job, and my husband or / wife is gonna work this job. And it's just like, no, just enjoy what you got. And like, you can still plan to have kids with your partner and like plan all that stuff out, but it shouldn't be something that you're like already set on. And I think everything just kind of works for us because we know the other one is thinking about us often, and that is enough for us when we're away from each other, and we don't feel the need like to be constantly DMing all day every day. Like, I've been in relationships like that where it's like, if I stop texting this person, they're gonna think I'm cheating. That's the kind of toxic relationship I've been in before, and it's uncomfortable for both parties, because somebody's not mature and I can't be there texting 24/7. Now, I'm pretty good about communication. When I wake up and I've got a significant other, when I wake up, I'm gonna text in the morning, because that's exactly what I would say to them if I was rolling over from my side of the bed. So same thing with like, good night, I'm heading to bed, or like midday I might check up and just say hi, hope you're having a good day. And conversation could go a lot more extensively, and it could go all throughout the day. But it's never something that I'm seeking or I expect. It's just like, oh, cool, they messaged me. And I could go like a couple of days without talking to that person. Would I feel super comfortable doing that after having several days or having several weeks of just like constant talking, then they just disappear without saying anything? Probably not. But if they were like, hey, I'm not going to be in the picture, I'm going to be kind of grinding some stuff out for the next like week or so I'm not going to be around, and I'm probably not going to be able to respond to you, just a heads up, be like, cool, do your thing. And that's that.
Yeah. Yeah, just being open and understanding to like the needs of the person, because like when you're with someone who actually has goals and ambitions and responsibilities, like things are gonna come up, things are gonna get in the way of having that time. And as long as there's like a communication and understanding that like there may not be a time to just constantly be back and forth, then I think that's great. Like again, creating that space, allowing for that space to exist, and just knowing that after all is said and done, you guys will be able to come back together, and that'll be great. Like it's just like I think that's a healthy.
Just pick right up where you left off. Yeah.
Yeah, just pick up where you left off. And like, but I do wonder, as someone like we both are people who like to have that kind of space and just kind of like to have that time. Like it would have to be a little bit more planned out. Like hypothetically speaking, if you're living in like a place with that person, like having that time of like that distance, creating that distance that isn't just let's say you're working a job or something, or like just being able to have that distance while still living in the same space. I feel like that will be a little bit tricky, but that's coming from someone who hasn't really had like a very long-standing relationship and in a very real way. I've stayed with people who I've been in a relationship with. I've like stayed with them for like a week or two, but like for like a long period of time, and just being able to create that space, I think is something that's like super. I wonder if how difficult it would be to do, and how picky I would be about that, because like I'm way too complex for my own good, but I'm kind of a lot, like you said earlier. I too am kind of a lot. So, a lot of things that I'm doing, a lot of things I do solo, like it's So I imagine you two enjoy the same games. Like I guess okay. What was it about this person that really kind of brought you two together, that really kind of clicked? Was it the games that you were playing? Was it, I would imagine it was maybe VRChat related? Yeah, was it anything? Was it just gaming? Was it personality? Was it music? And have a feeling you're going to say all those things, but like, I'd like to hear it straight from you.
All those things.
Okay. All right.
But, I think the first thing for me was that this discourages a lot of people, and don't let this discourage you if this hasn't worked out for you past. But they kind of pulled me aside one night, and I got like a little bit of time alone with them, and they're like, they kind of were like, hey, can we just like hang out, like just us two? And in my head I was like, fucking finally, dude, because like I just felt like there was a connection, there was something there, and I didn't know what to do about it at the time. And I was still at the stage of like, I'm not looking for love, I'm not looking for relationship, I'm not looking for anything. But I felt there was a connection there, and it just felt right. And when I say don't get discouraged, is like a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, I told my crush I liked her and it didn't work out for me, so that's not the way to do it ever again. Doesn't mean give up. Maybe refine your approach a little bit and make sure that it's a comfortable situation, and the biggest thing is be able to fucking take no for an answer. There's so many people out there, and this isn't gender specific. There's so many men and women out there, or whatever you want to classify yourself as. There's so many people out there that just get rejected and they're like, nope, doesn't work anymore, not gonna try it again. But like, that's the only way you can get through to somebody, or like talk to them. And have that kind of moment to say, do you feel the same way? And be able to take no. And if they say no, you can still be friends. Just be happy that your friend now is able to find somebody that they care about. Be happy for your friend. Don't just fucking bail on them because you can't get any. I'm gonna be honest, it's a douche move, and I've seen it happen a lot. It's a douche move where somebody's like, I can't get any from this person, so I'm not gonna continue to be around them. I'm not gonna be their friend if I can't get any. That's super scumbaggy, and it's disgusting. And it happens a lot.
It does.
And
it does.
anyways, sorry for my tirade, but
No, yeah. I'm right there. I would have
know,
done it for you if you didn't do
People just need to learn to take rejection.
Yeah, they do.
It's you should just be happy that your friend is happy, and that's all there is to it. And you have no idea how soon it could be for you. And even still, like we said earlier, don't make it about being soon or later or whatever. Just be happy with what you have, and things will find their way to you. Like, the universe will unfold its plans to you. You don't have any control over that kind of thing. And
Absolutely.
no, that's not me saying there's like a universe cosmic plan or anything. I don't believe that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, live your life and just let it come to you. Let life do its thing. And if you feel like you have a connection with somebody, voice it. But be able to accept if they don't feel the same way. And in my case, I felt the same way that they did, and we just jived and both really enjoy music, and I was able to just really, like, especially through music, like, I feel like I've lived 1,000 lives just through the music that I've listened to. Like, maybe that's an over-exaggeration, but I can empathize with so many different types of people around the world based off the music that I've listened to. And I say only empathize because I can't get into the mind of what it's like to be, for instance, like a soldier in Afghanistan. But I can listen to a song by Rise Against called Hero of War, and I can understand the feeling of coming back after deploying to another country to fight what America deemed as terrorists, to come back and your country to despise you, or for your country to call you a hero when feel that what you did was not very heroic at all. I can empathize with that, and I think that was part of really the connection, the bond, at least where it first started. It was that I felt like I could understand their feelings and their hurt and their pain, and they could understand a lot of mine from some of the music I shared. Sorry, where's my drink? Here it is.
Cheers. I will take over while you're getting that drink. But yeah, like, it is definitely important for people to be aware that it's incredibly important to work on yourself. Working on yourself, pursuing your own goals, being around the people who you vibe with and feel connected with. Those are the ways that you find people or find a person that you can ultimately spend, a good portion of your time with, or be in a relationship with. And, like, it doesn't have to be romantic at all. Like, and being able to be around people, like, even if there's someone that you like, or, it doesn't have to, if they reject you, or even if it just doesn't, they're not ready for it at that point in time. As long as you're working on yourself and caring about, like, genuinely caring about them, whether they say yes or no, it doesn't matter, because you should be caring. If you do actually give a damn about them, it wouldn't matter. You would just be like, oh, all right, I'm going to keep working on myself, and I'm going to keep supporting you. I'm going to make sure that you're happy and that we can have a great time. We can still have fun together, and just being able to be in that space. And I think, yeah, like I said, a lot of people struggle with that. They just feel like that's not for me. Oh, they don't want to be with me, so I might as well not even bother. And it's like not even bother with the friendship at all.
There doesn't have to be hard feelings.
Yeah, there doesn't have to be at all.
But people want to throw, they want to throw the ball that way and assume that there's going to be some kind of hard feelings from
just
somebody.
From being saying no, and it doesn't have to be. Like, you know how people say, like, oh, like, they're like, oh,
it's
like,
just a word.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is awkward. You know how people do that shit? I'm like, it's only awkward when you make it awkward.
Right.
Yeah.
You're saying it to diffuse the situation, but you're only making it more
awkward.
You just say, all you got to say is, okay, thank you for allowing me to voice that feeling. And either walk away or go back to doing whatever you were doing before, just like you hadn't even asked. Just right where you were at, baseline.
Yeah. But, that's very hard for people. And, like, I do hope that, like, people are genuinely encouraged by like the mutual like feeling with regards to that, because like there are people like that who do think the way that we do, and if you like run into someone who feels that way, just know that there are plenty of people out there who actually are willing to just be chill and just move on. Let's just be cool. Let's just be friends, and it's cool. And that's that. But you know, I hope people are encouraged. Is basically what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm super happy for you because like I had no idea. But again, I ask these questions of all of my guests. I always like I think it's very like I like to get in. I want to get into the heads of everyone that I have on my podcast because I want to know how they perceive relationships, because I think that speaks a lot about the person. Like if it speaks about their level of maturity, how they perceive, you know, just life in general, how much they love themselves. There's so many things that you can glean from learning about how a person can translate and I guess like understand relationships, like both platonic and romantic. So, you know, I gotta ask. I always gotta ask. But I think now that we've kind of touched on relationships, like I had to do it. Now I want to know about music, and I think this may be where we kind of close things out tonight. I don't know, but I want to know where did your love for music start? Very simple question.
Yeah, simple question, but I've got a complex answer.
Great, love it. Let's hear it.
It always just kind of comes back to me just wanting to, like, I don't know, feel heard, appreciated, and like feel not alone. And so I would get, as I said before, I'd get iPods from my brother, hand me down, like old iPods. I'm talking bricks. And I would have like Blink 182 or Sum 41 or pop punk music he was listening to. 8 years older than me. Actually, no, he's like, I think he's 6 years older than me. But he'd be listening to like that kind of music in high school, and then I'd be listening to that in like elementary or middle school, and so that kind of ingrained itself into me. System of a Down, stuff like that. I'm relatively anti-establishment, if you haven't picked up already, but
Yeah. Fuck the world.
I would listen to a lot of music like that. and I kind of fell into that through his iPods, and then eventually just kind of branched out with Spotify. And I had a program, people may remember, it's really old. I used in elementary school, like Spotify. It was like the early streaming service. It was free. It was called Groove Shark, and you could add whatever. Basically, anybody could add music and upload music, and people would upload entire discographies, bands, and you could find the entire discography of anything from like Blink or anything from AC/DC or Elvis if you wanted to, and you could add it to playlists, and it was just an orange version of Spotify. Like, it literally was just colored orange. They ended up getting shut down because of a bunch of copyright infringement, but if you go back, you can still save your old playlists, which I did. And then I uploaded those into Spotify later. But I really started to really dive into music headfirst when I got caught up. I needed, with probation, the probationary terms were 2 days in jail, which was a steal. Like, that was an awful time. Actually, it was 3 days, 72 hours. But it was a steal compared to potential prison time, or they would have put me in jail for 30 days for what's called shock time. The idea being that it shocks the person into saying, this isn't a place I want to be. 3 days was enough for me. When there's trains that go by every 7 to 8 minutes that wake you up and your cell is freezing cold and you've only got a blanket with no pillow. So you're using Crocs that they gave you for shoes as your pillow. Very uncomfortable. And all the literature in there is all just like pro police books and about the greatest detectives ever, and it's just like, you guys just stroke yourselves off in here all day, don't you? Like, you can't give me anything actually entertaining. I can't read American Psycho while I'm in here. I have to sit here and read about Judy, the policewoman that solved this murderous crime, although it was very entertaining and a good read. But not good enough for me to remember the name, evidently. Anywho, part of the probationary terms is that you have to either be working full-time, going to school full-time, or doing part-time of each. And I chose to do part-time of each because, well, that's the only thing anybody in that position can afford, really, unless you just want to work full-time. But I already wanted to get involved with music on a deeper level, and it made sense for me to pay for my classes with the part-time job and just stay where I was living at the time and go to school part-time, and that fulfilled the probationary requirement. I got off after 10 months out of 18 months of probation, I believe it was. But I got off early for good behavior, essentially, because I just didn't do anything bad. I just played VR. But that's pretty bad. But yeah, that's it. Everything just kind of spiraled from there, and I just kept chasing down, like, how can I meet with more people who are interested in this? And through those classes, I made so many new friends that were interested in making music, and all had their own diverse genres. I learned how to record live music. Like, I learned how to run back end, like, behind the stage. There's actually people behind the stage. A lot of people don't know this, but you've got those guys at the front of house, which are the guys that are out in the crowd that are mixing everything, and you always see their panels set up. They're mixing the music that's going out to everybody else. But the guys on stage, they need their own monitors. They've got in-ear monitors, they've got monitors facing them on the stage. All of that has to be run completely different. They're hearing a completely different product. Like, the guitarist or the bassist might need to hear the drums more than the vocalist needs to hear the drums, so that they can keep rhythm. And the vocalist might need to hear the guitar more than the bass and the drums. And you have to balance all that out to everybody's liking within the band, and then find a way to make sure that it actually sounds good to them on stage so that they can perform properly. There's so much more involved with a stage production than a lot of people know about. But setting up live audio, recording in studios, mixing, mastering, editing music, got kind of the basics of that through those courses. And the idea was that I was going to go expand on that in 2020 and go out and start working with all these different places and get more hands-on experience, but that all kind of fell through. Right. I just started building a playlist on Spotify one day, which is my Feels playlist, by far my largest playlist. And it's just any song I felt that I liked long enough to listen twice to in a row. And it's 5,491 songs. There are new songs added almost daily. And 330 hours, 40 minutes worth of music. And I've been adding to it since, I believe, 2017.
Wow.
And it's just like a whole bunch of stuff that I've listened to that just really resonates with me.
Yeah.
And the way that it's structured too is like top to bottom. It's like from when I got Spotify to where I am now, and you can kind of follow my emotions and like they're really angsty. I went through a really angsty period in this year and you can see this month period that's just like all angsty shit. And then like here's where I recovered from it, and here's a bunch of like pop punk or EDM or something like that. So yeah, that's it. It all started with iPods.
man.
It all started with iPods.
Yeah, I have something similar going with my liked songs. Like a lot of what I have going on in that is just like it starts at the bottom but it goes up to the top, and you can basically see like my taste in music. Like you can basically get a good sense of my taste in music based on the songs that I've liked, but also at different points in my life based on the songs that I've liked and the music that I was listening to at that point in time. So it's kind of similar to that, but you've actually you've well, I guess I have also curated the music, so you have to like the song first before it gets up in your likes. But wow, that's very extensive. But like, So music has been a part of your life for a very, very long time. Is what you're saying? Like it's just kind of, you came out the womb and music
Just always been there.
Has always just been there.
I was in the womb listening to music. My mom was singing in the church choir with me in the womb.
All right, okay, it all comes together. All right. Wow. Okay, so, and like your taste in music is just based on where you are in your life, but you kind of
that and what I'm exposed to. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And I always like to push that boundary when people want to introduce me to new stuff. I may not listen to it right when they send it to me, but I try to get to it when I can. And then, like, a lot of times, like, I find a ton of stuff through other people that I normally wouldn't listen to that I actually really like. Like, I haven't listened to a whole lot of, like, hard rock or metal. And since I've been around some people on VRChat, like, I've been exposed to that more because they're like, you should play this song. And I'm like, all right, I'll throw it on. I'm like, okay, this actually fucking slaps. And I don't love like screamo, but when I tell people that, they're like, okay, I can find a good middle ground for you, and they'll find something that's like not intense screamo, that I can still kind of understand the lyrics. I'm like, all right, I jive with this. Like, that's a big thing for me, is I'm very lyrically driven. So I follow the emotions of the words and how they're said most of the time. And if I can't follow that within a song, I check out pretty quick. But other than that, like, I mean, I can listen to songs that are in Spanish and enjoy it because I just can feel the energy of the song.
Yeah, the inflection
speaks through language.
Yeah, language just has that sort of thing. Like there's tone and inflection, yeah, and just emotion in general. Yeah. So, like, if you're more lyrically driven, does that mean that you like you still enjoy EDM though, right?
Yeah, but a fair amount of that is still lyrics, but it kind of depends. Like, I guess I don't necessarily jive super well with like Turquoise or Red's music. I enjoy it a lot though. Is it the type of music that I would find myself listening to typically? Probably not, but I enjoy their music when they make.
Okay.
I don't typically listen to a lot of it, but I also can appreciate it for what it is. Like, I can recognize the way that, for instance, an artist like Millennium has these big pushing builds, because that's just the way his genre works.
Yes.
But you have these big pushing builds of lyrics, and that's why I like Millennium a lot, is because you have this. I will say it's all the same. Like, almost all his music is the same. Same thing with like Chainsmokers. It's just lyric build up into drop. But I like that I know what to expect when I put on Millennium. I know that I like that I know what to expect when I put on Chainsmokers. I enjoy the ride. It's a roller coaster that I'm not fully familiar with, but I understand how to recognize when we're gonna go over. I like to know. I like to be in control and see when we're gonna go over it. I don't like things that I can't quite expect like that. So that's probably why I'm not like super tuned in on like maybe happy hardcore, is maybe just because I haven't like fully learned to appreciate that, and haven't fully learned how to recognize those drops and recognize the way that music is. But I do appreciate the hell out of it, and I love listening to what Red and what Turquoise send me, and I especially love what Turquoise has made, and I can't wait to see what cool shit Red comes up with this year. I think he's gonna drop something really cool for us.
Yeah. Whatever they have in store, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Like one of the best things that have come out of me being a part of VRChat is getting engaged with like the rave scene, and just being a part of that, and just meeting all the people there like yourself. Like we met essentially like at the, I think it's probably like it was like mid rave, but it was like close to the end, but it was like, yeah, it was like middle the end of the rave, and I was introduced to you. But like getting involved in that community and just like meeting like so many really cool people through there has been a blast. Like actually like speaking to Red, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Turk, but just like
Yeah, you should see if they'd be down to interview. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I actually did ask Red recently. Yeah, so I wanna get Red on, and we're gonna get Tico on too. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to what this year
You
has.
should ask
to
him why
bring.
his nipples are so sharp.
Oh my gosh. How do you know that?
Dude, he takes them out all the time. Like, they're always out on his stream in the hot tub. He never puts them away. It's like he's proud of them. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. Gonna put somebody's eye out one of these days.
Oh man. Oh gosh. Well, if I can, maybe if I see them myself, I will ask him. But chances are, I probably won't.
You should ask. Yeah, just ask him to take him out. I'm sure he'd be happy to oblige. Been hurt.
Could
Shoot,
cut glass.
might jump the view count.
Oh man. I mean,
Pico takes Tatas out on stream.
hey, I mean his subathon did pretty well, right?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe
Yeah.
it was him taking his nipples out.
Maybe
Who
it was
knows?
that. Maybe it could have been that. But we will have to find out. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, like getting involved in like the rave scene, and being able to go to like the stuff that you've done for your community and such has been so cool. Like just being a part of that, I've really enjoyed. It's been such a thrill to just be around people who genuinely like music and are open to new ideas. And like I feel like we really bonded over the Midnight. Like,
Yeah, for sure. I love that fucking band.
yeah, that was like the kicker. Like once you found out that I liked the Midnight, I think it was over. Like we were like we were it was just like yeah, we're cool.
It's funny, like
yeah.
I didn't even know Rooney liked the Midnight until I was on one of his workout streams, and I was looking at his startup screen, and I was like, there is a Midnight video on in the background of his startup screen, or I think maybe it was a poster, but I was like, wait, do you like the Midnight, Rooney? He's like, I love the Midnight. I was like,
Oh my gosh,
did
yo.
we just become best friends?
Yeah. That's
It's
basically
so
what it
good.
was between you and me. And now like I'm like there's got to be a reason why I like Rooney so much. It's because he likes the Midnight. That's why I like
It's definitely because of the Midnight.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I mean, if you saw that man's body, let me tell you, he is.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Jacked to the tits does not even begin to describe. That man is fucking yoked. Holy shit. I mean, he's a lifeguard, so he's kind of gotta be, but like, I've seen some lifeguards that could stand to work out a little more when I lived in North Carolina, and my God, Rooney is just fucking jacked. I'm making him blush.
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy.
Man,
Got the cum gutters and everything.
I want to see. I want to see it. I want to see what Rooney looks like. Maybe he'll show me. I don't know.
Maybe he'll DM you a picture.
Maybe.
Just gotta ask, pretty pleased with the cherry on top. Well, he might do it.
Well, we'll see. But I'm interested to see how true that statement is, because I'm not ripped, but I'm relatively toned. So like, but I'm okay with just being like that. So, but yeah, we're not gonna get into my body or anything. We don't need to talk about that.
Over here starting to do stretches
Yes.
like you're about to start doing push-ups right now. Like a push-up contest.
Yo, we should probably do that, Rooney. Like if I have you on my podcast, we could do like a push-up contest.
No.
That'd be
Push-up
fun.
contest?
Yeah.
I actually love that. That's awesome.
That would be fucking cool. But yeah, just like meeting so many cool people. Like when you invited me to the event that you did, it was like a little like, well, I guess not a little, but you did like a little like dancing thing at the that 80s style arcade. And like
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
was such
Throwback
a
Thursday.
yeah, that was such a great time. Like I had such a great time going to that. And like I was so honored that you would invite me, because like we talked, like kind of exchanged words, but like it was just so hard for us to actually have like a real like back and forth, because like you're always around people. So like, but I'm so glad that you thought of me, and like that was such a great time. And like the fact that we can like you know so much music, you know so many different, like, I mean, there's a lot of music out there. Like, it makes sense that there's no way that we can like know like all the things, that we would both like the same things. But just the fact that we like the midnight was like, that was such a wonderful thing, because like not many people know about the midnight, which is sad because they're so fucking good. But yeah, like what is your, I guess,
I think
go ahead.
I think probably one of these Thursdays coming up here soon. There were some people who missed out on that that event. I don't know if it'll be as big as it was last time. I was just kind of shooting out a bunch of invites to like most everybody that I saw on, and you were one of the first. But there were some people who missed out on that, and they felt really bad. So I definitely want to do another one of those again sometime soon. Normally when I do those, when I would do that stream Throwback Thursday, it would just be me in that world. But I was just feeling it that night that it'd be really cool to just bring in a bunch of people. And it's really too bad that the video player doesn't work, because I really want to have like a DJ come in and actually DJ a bunch of like 80s stuff in that world, but the video player's bunk. So I need to try and get in contact with that world owner when I can and see if they can update that. But you were gonna say, sorry, about music.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what is your like what is, like, I guess, what's a song, I want to say what's your, I don't want to ask what's your favorite song. That's like asking like an anime fan what's your favorite anime. That's like fucking ridiculous question. But like what is a song that recently has like really like made you feel something, or like something that like a song that you're just listening to a lot lately?
Well, so first off, I would say that a song that like just overall resonates with me and has always resonated with me is basically anything from Judah and the Lion. I'm a huge fan of theirs. But there's a song, Going to Mars, is really, really good. I highly recommend it.
Is that the name of the band?
That's the name of the song. The band is Judah and the Lion.
Oh, okay.
But the song is Going to Mars, and it's partial EDM. It's they're classified as folk, hop, and roll.
Wow.
And they're very, very fun to listen to. And they're all over the radio with their song Bring It All Back. I think it was 2.0, because they have a Bring It All Back, which they released, and then they like revamped it with some EDM aspects, which made the radio, which was 2.0. I'm nerding out.
Hey, I asked you. It's fine.
But they had a song that was that really struck a chord with me. The first one I ever heard was Suit and Jacket, and it's basically telling the story of this guy that he doesn't want to be confined to this life of materialistic, just greed and instant gratification. Doesn't care about how many likes. He doesn't want to get a 1K on his photo or anything like that, and he doesn't want to be confined to wearing a suit and jacket, essentially. And it just really resonated in me at a point that I needed in my life to hear that.
And that's just a song you've listened to recently?
Like a little bit. A song that I've listened to recently, I'll just scroll through my Feels playlist here. I do listen to so much so often that I don't really nail anything down. I think maybe Identity by Grandson I listened to recently on stream, and I was like, I don't know why I don't already have this saved. When I get angry, I think Grandson is a great band for me to listen to, because I can direct my hate and my anger in a in a positive direction, which tends to be at the man. And grandson is, like I've said, pretty anti-establishment. Maybe I think Dream by Ryan Koss, last name Coss, is really, really good. Because it's just got these, it might be the other one of his, Over the Moon, but both of those songs have this like really unique aspect where they just hit so many different frequencies, and there's so much ear candy, as it's called, or as I've learned it, ear candy being like different sounds. Like you'll find that in EM songs a lot, where they have a lot of like tweeting high frequency and stuff just kind of trickled in, or like a chime trickled in here and there. It's stuff that just sounds soothing, and it's almost ASMR-esque. But those two songs really had a lot of stuff that was like that, but they had this dynamic range of just so many frequency, and just so much range. It's just a really good listen. So, not so much about the message, more about the vibe of the song. But yeah.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I wanted to get a few songs that have really like resonated with you recently that you would like just kind of give recommendations to people like who really love music as much as we do. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. So I have 2 more questions. I think we'll see. 2 more questions. So, first question.
Like me picking music. One more song.
So I want to ask you. Actually, you know, I have 3 questions. Okay, we'll go with this one first. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
And
I know we talked about earlier, you know, being in the moment. I know, like not looking in the
really
future.
Look too far out.
Yeah, that is pretty far out.
Where do I see myself versus where would I like to be is 2 different questions.
Where would you like to be then? We'll say that instead.
I would like to be here doing this, and like I would like to thrive. I don't think anybody does this and doesn't want to thrive. I think that everybody who gets into streaming or creating videos or creating music, it's all really the same vein. It's the creative aspect of our minds that we're unleashing and allowing to. And I think that in 5 years, I would like to be here thriving. I would like to be streaming and thriving and creating fun YouTube videos and engaging as much as I possibly can with the community, and going to events and going to concerts with people, and just living a fun life and doing what I can to help people along the way. And yeah.
Cool.
I think that's what I would like for myself, and what I like for those around. Happy. That would make me very happy.
Yeah. I can definitely feel that. Like, I had another thing to kind of piggyback off of that. Oh right. Now that you've shared your voice, people who didn't know what you sounded like now know what you sound like. And you know that's neither here nor there. You're still you. And honestly, I think who you are is very, very wonderful, very, very unique. And you've had a whole slew of experiences. And I look forward to seeing exactly like where that all takes you, and certainly hope that we are certainly, I can call you friend, for sure. Yeah, I would really like that. No, oh, okay. Well, I tried. I shot my shot, and it's too bad.
Yeah, there's your answer. That's fucked.
But now that people know like what you sound like and everything, what do you, I guess, like, do you think anything's going to change? I'm sure nothing's going to change, like, for you. I'm almost certain nothing's going to change. But, like, is there anything that you'd like to say to, I guess, anyone who may be a mute, who may be in your situation or may have been in your situation? And is there anything that you want to kind of you want to give to them, any advice you want to like share with them.
Don't listen when people are telling you VRChat is a game for talking because it's VRChat. That's bullshit. Game's for whatever you want it to be. Like, don't let somebody else's opinion of what a game should be what you make your opinion. You want to be a mute if you're more comfortable being a mute. And don't be pressured into doing something you don't want to do by other people. That's lame. It's for weirdos. So come out, like, let your voice out if you want to, but don't feel like you need to. And people around you should accept that of you. And I should hope that they wouldn't change the way that they talk to you or the way that they are around you because of how you sound. Because ultimately, you're the same person as you have been, as you just said. Nothing has changed. Just that now I talk.
Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree with that. And the last question is there anything that I can do? You know, this is a question I always ask everyone when they come on the podcast. Is there anything that I can do in the moment, like to literally do this like on the spot, that I can potentially help you through, offer advice on anything that you may be going through or dealing with or conflicted about, that perhaps I can potentially shed some light on? I don't claim to know everything. I'm not a genius, and I'm not a philosopher, but I think I'm pretty good at connecting the dots and drawing from my own experiences and the knowledge that I've gained from many other people and many other books and such. So if there's anything that you've got going on that you may have wanted to talk to someone about.
I think this was probably the only thing, was voice revealing, and anything else other than that, I just stay for the therapist. But I appreciate the offer, and I'll let you know if there's something.
That is totally reasonable. Gotcha. All right, cool. So, with all of that said, I think this is a good spot to end. We've gone for, how long were we going for? Let's see. Nearly 4 hours.
3.5 hours?
3.5 hours.
Really 4 hours?
3.5 hours-ish, yeah.
It's been a blast, honestly. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being willing to be on and being so chill about being on in the first place, and choosing, my humble podcast to do your voice reveal on. Like, honestly, like my podcast is not anything big. I'm not like a massive like content creator or anything. So I really appreciate you like allowing me to, host that and be the platform that you would want to, share that with everyone on.
It's only a matter of time. You're gonna blow up.
Hey, well, hope.
Especially keep doing what you're doing. It's very different, very unique.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Like I'm always have my doubts, but I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and just I love what I do. I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. I love just understanding why people think and do what they do, and understanding that better. So I think a podcast is a great way for me to do that. So without me being a straight up, clinical psychologist. So, but yeah. Truly, thank you for being on my podcast, and allow me to have this experience with you and share that with you. And thank you guys for tuning in. It really has been a blast being able to spend time with ChelZ one-on-one. I couldn't have asked for a better way to start off my year, quite honestly. So, and hopefully there will be other times where we can like chill and chat, but I'm sure many other times we'll be like dancing or, doing some other event that ChelZ has planned, because I know that they've got a whole slew of things planned for this year, one way or another. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you will too. But as always, where can people find you? Where can people find you, ChelZ?
You can find me on Twitter, Chel, CHEL, Zip, Chan, ZIPCHAN, or you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/CHEL ChelZChan or YouTube under that same name, I believe. Yeah, I haven't uploaded to YouTube in a minute, so I don't really remember what the link is. It might just be a bunch of letters. I don't think I've earned that on YouTube yet.
Yeah, I haven't either, so you know it's totally cool. But I will I'll try to do some research, and we'll see what we can find. But if nothing else, we will put your Twitter and your Twitch, because you know that's largely where you are. And yeah, I mean, do you have a well, like, I never asked anyone this, but would you want to put a link to the Discord or no?
I mean, if you feel comfortable with it, I can just DM you a link if you want to throw that in the back end of the video. Then people like click that link, or like copy and paste the link or something, put it in the description or something.
Okay, because I will be putting the links in the description anyway that you just shared. So yeah, and yeah, but that's only if you feel comfortable doing that. I've never asked before, so you know, might as well. And yeah, and if you guys are interested in finding more of me, you can find me on twitch.tv/NephrT with 2 eyes. And of course, you know, this is going on YouTube, so you know, if you're here watching it on YouTube, welcome. You made it. You're welcome to subscribe if you like. I would appreciate that very much. But I'm also on Twitter. If you want to find me there, same name, NephrT with 2 eyes. So yeah, that's there for you if you are interested in reaching out to me or ChelZ. And yeah. With all of that said,
big shout out, by the way. Big shout out to the mods, though.
Yeah,
without
absolutely.
any of this, like without any of their help, like holding things down in both my channel and yours, like we can't do what we do comfortably. Y'all are goated, seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So big shout out to the mod teams.
100%. Thank you. Thank you to the mods who are there to catch this live. Fear and Cal, thank you both very, very much for being here the entire time. So I will see you all next time. Please do take care of yourselves, and take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.